fun little quote that I devised for this episode. So if you'll bear with me, um, this was said by Jamie Kennedy. You'll
Really?
understand it in 1 second.
Out of
Jamie
all
Kennedy
people.
playing a character in a movie.
Okay.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie podcast. For instance, number one, you can never have sex on mic. Big no no. Sex equals death. I'm looking at you, Carlos. Okay. And make it very awkward to try to edit out of the episode. Number two, you can never drink or do drugs. The sin factor. Your words will slur, and you will make editing for Jake very, very hard. It's a sin. It's an extension of number one. And number three, never, ever, under any circumstance, say, I'll be right back in the middle of the podcast because you won't be back. You'll ditch us on mic to make us look like a couple of buffoons. Those are the rules for the cult episode today on the Cinebums. If you didn't know, that's from the
All right.
motion picture Scream, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Welcome back, everybody, to
With that
the
being said, I'll be
October
right
month.
back. Just kidding.
Do like Matthew Lillard did in the movies. I'll be right
I'll be
back.
back.
So happy October. Obviously, we're still doing horror movies. Today we're going to be doing our top 5 personal cult classic horror movies. We got a great lineup of people that have been on the show before. I love all 3 of them very much. We got Charlotte, the lovely Charlotte. We got Antman, and we got this guy named Carlos. He's been on a few times. Thank you all so much for coming back. I always appreciate it. Much love, much love.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I guess we'll dive right into it because we got a lot of movies to talk about. We all have our personal top 5 cult horror movies, but I think I would be remiss if we didn't define what cult classic horror movies are, and what our personal definitions are of them. I feel like Ant-Man might know the best out of all of us. He's a wise man. So I'm going to go to you first. Like, what's your personal definition of cult horror and what do they mean to you as a film lover?
All right, so my personal definition would be something that maybe when it initially came out was a dud or kind of unknown, and as time went on, it created some sort of a following, a cult following, if you will. Not necessarily like givens, like we already talked about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff like that. Those are givens. Those are great. They are a kind of cult horror to an extent, but that's not like my definition. I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into the cesspool of horror to find some stuff. So, yeah, that would be mine. Just total utter failures that fell into film obscurity that weirdos like me happened to come across it many years later and dug it out. And thanks to companies like Vinegar Syndrome and Arrow and stuff like that, gave people like me a better shot of watching it on something other than a VHS.
Totally. I
Well,
think the
shit, I
4 of
gotta.
us love physical media too, and that really helps with delving deep into just really, really esoteric titles. But yeah, so go ahead, Carlos. Yeah.
Oh shit. I mean, apparently I gotta redo my list because I thought we were talking about horror movies that had cults in them.
You're fucking with me.
I'm just kidding. It's a lame joke, but I just had to make it.
But yeah, but like, what about you, man? Like, what's your relationship to cult horror or just horror in general?
Well, look, I fucking love horror films. I mean, as a young, still, I consider myself an aspiring filmmaker. Um, I all of my films so far have been horror or some type of subgenre of horror, but it's just really weird because, like most genre horror fans, they really love. I mean, it's just really. I don't want to like. I don't want to kind of like generalize horror fans, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people that say that they love horror, they really love, slasher stuff. They like bloody stuff. They like fun jump scare stuff. But like for me, I just loved overall like atmospheric type horror the most, like
Mhm.
psychological type horror and things like that. Obviously things that are a bit more on the artful side of horror filmmaking, but I still have a special place in my heart for just like balls out fun practical effect horror type shit. Um Again, that's not the reason why I love horror, but I still enjoy some of that. Um, so that's why,
Mhm.
honestly, like I don't have the biggest relationship with cult horror films. So honestly, I'm not really here to. I'm honestly more here to learn than I am to like, you know, give words of wisdom on the genre. I've seen enough to make a top five, but I mean, in comparison to probably all three of y'all, I am very surface level with this type of stuff. But I mean, from my mind, my definition of cult horror was just pretty much the same thing that he said, which was just basically films that at the time were very obscure, weren't very popular. People kind of wrote it off as like a whatever movie, but then as time progressed, it turned into something that people started loving more and more, and now in a way has become popular. That is obviously the case with films like Texas Chainsaw and shit, but that film has gotten so incredibly popular now that it's almost it's just like unfair to call it cult horror because it's just so
Yeah.
like culturally influential to the genre itself at this point. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel
Agreed.
like I talked way too much. Yeah.
You're what's a podcast, don't cut yourself off unless one of us do. Um Charlotte, you resemble a bit of a goth queen. You're a horror, just your
Mhm.
aesthetic. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming cult horror means a great deal to you.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And my definition is pretty much word for word what Ant-Man said, but one thing I did want to add was cult horror is something that's really interesting to study from like a sociological level, which is what my background is in, because
Mm.
we can tell about what place our culture is in by how popular certain things or certain pieces of media that we consume become. For instance, Jennifer's Body, was sort of bombed in the beginning and stuff, but I think as we become more progressive as a culture, we've sort of given that film in particular a reanalyze. Shout out to Jennifer's Body, not on my list, but love that film.
Great movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it too.
I love it. You guys described it so well. I mean, it is a mix of the sociological, themes that are way ahead of its time, often commenting on very, very taboo things that like mainstream movies couldn't tackle at the time, especially in the 80s, which I imagine a lot of our films will be during that decade. And to me, it's also the experience of watching it. There's a certain tonality that these movies have that Carlos also hit on, which is, somewhat goofy. There's a very exaggerated tone that often plays with body horror and uh, yeah, so like I think obviously we're going to be defining it more and more as we give our list, but I think that's a good setup to our top five lists. You know what? I'm going to go first because I feel like my first pick is a little boring, and I also never really go first, so I'm going to change it up a little bit. With my first film of the top five is Army of Darkness by Sam Raimi.
Woo woo.
Um, like again, not a super exciting pick, but it does mean a great deal to me. It's not my favorite of the trilogy, but I think it also just exemplifies the cult status very, very well. Maybe not as strongly as Evil Dead 2, which is one of my favorite movies, period. But just the blending of different genres in this movie, especially the medieval aspect, makes it just like a really, really fascinating relic of what horror potential can be, in my opinion, because it has all the elements of Evil Dead 2 just kind of injected in this like time travel, wacky, romantic, sexy. It has just so many different elements that I really, really love. Not to mention Bruce Campbell, who's one of maybe if you're going to talk about cult horror icons, might be the number one in terms of characters. He's plastered on pop toys and posters and everything. And Army of Darkness, I just think is to me the one I have rewatched the most, oddly, because I can just show it to people that aren't necessarily as into cult classic horror movies, and they've really just taken something away from it. And yeah, I like, you can't not mention Sam Raimi as a major cult horror figure, and I feel like Army of Darkness is the less obvious one to pick, and just means a lot to me. So I had to mention it right at the top. And I know, Antman, you said it's not like your favorite by any means of the three. I'm just curious, like, how the fuck could you say it? No, I'm kidding. How could you
I'm
say
a
that
fake
to me?
fan, dude.
No, like I get it, but I just wanted to hear from your
Yeah,
own words. Yeah,
weirdly enough, Army of Darkness was probably, I think it was the first one that I saw out of all the Evil Dead films, and I enjoyed it until I watched Evil Dead 1, and then my wig was blown off when I watched Evil Dead 2. Like Evil Dead 2 to me is like the pinnacle.
it is.
I still, weirdly enough, even though Army of Darkness to me is like on the bottom of the totem pole in the Evil Dead franchise, I still watch that movie every single year. I watch that movie more than Evil Dead 1 or 2 because I want to appreciate it on the same level, and I'm getting there. I appreciate it more, and honestly, I never really thought about it from that aspect of it being an easily accessible horror film to those who are not really into horror, because it's kind of horror light. You know, it's got the things that you like from an Evil Dead film while still being a little bit more campy, so that way maybe kiddos can watch it, or those who are super squeamish, and maybe Evil Dead 2 with all the blood and shit like that is too much for them. So I do appreciate it a lot more, and as time goes by, I do like it more and more. I love the soundtrack for it. That's great.
Danny
Um,
Elfman. Yeah,
yeah, but Evil Dead 2, man, as soon as I saw that, honestly, my life changed. Like I was like 7 years old watching it on VHS in my aunt's house, and
Oh my
yeah, I don't.
God.
Yeah, I wish
really
we.
young.
I don't know. I saw Army of Darkness not too long before that, because my sister got me. Well, she's my cousin, but I call her my sister, 'cause only child here. She got me the 12-inch Ash figure that talks and
It's
shit, and a lot of the sound bites come from Army of Darkness. So she got me the VHS for that, and like for like a whole year, I had no idea that that came after two other films. So she let me watch those other two, and I watched it with my aunt, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I am forever changed."
But
totally. I
it's
same shit.
interesting that you bring up that it being like child friendly, because it was the first that I saw when I was like 16, and oddly enough, my 8-year-old brother was the one to introduce it to me. Just
Yes.
so I have good memories with that movie too.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't end up making like a cartoon out of it like they did with the Toxic Avenger or Rambo, or I think even RoboCop. Like all those 80s like violent films ended up
Mhm.
getting a child-friendly cartoon. So I'll
Yeah,
be on
but
the lookout for
truly,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
never say never. Yeah.
I will hope.
Yeah, I actually don't know which is my favorite between um um fucking Evil Dead 2 and um
First Evil
fucking
Dead
no, Army of
or
Darkness.
Army of Darkness. Yeah.
Yeah, Army of Darkness. That one I think was my favorite for quite some time. I was really high off that movie when I saw it, but it's been like 6 years, I think, since I've seen Army of Darkness. But I fucking love Army of Darkness, dude. I'm right there with you. I think that film was just so like it's just so much fucking fun. It's filled with countless one-liners that are just hilarious. And it still offers just like so much of that same Raimi camp that like we just all love. And again, there's a bunch of like cool monster effects in it, and it's just a fucking goofy and hilarious plot line of a fucking S-Mart employee getting transported to like fucking medieval times. It's just conceptually alone, that's just such an amazing
Yeah.
platform for Sam Raimi to just explore, that campy style of horror filmmaking that he really loves to do. And yeah, again, there's just so many amazing lines in that movie. This is my boomstick.
Boomstick.
Shop smart, shop S smart. Again, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I just remember that movie really, really stuck with me, and I just really, really had so much fun with it. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I really, really love that film.
No, I'm glad. Yeah, it's hysterical as hell. Like, real quick, I got to mention when he's trying to lift the curse off of the people in the village, and he goes to find the book, and he's like reciting the
Yeah.
whatever the language, and he forgets
Oh yeah,
the
Klaatu,
pinnacle
Verata, necktie.
Matu Voratu, and he's like "Ugh." Like he tries to cover it up, and then obviously all hell breaks loose, and we got a movie. Yeah, I it's just so infectiously fun and just imaginative beyond just so many horror movies that I could think of. I just love it so much. But yeah, we can move on from there. Charlotte, if you want to go next, please do.
Sure. So my next pick is, I don't think it's a cult classic yet, but I see like in the next 10, 20 years it becoming one. It's Knife Plus Heart. It's a relatively newer French film that I
Love
really
it.
fucking love. Neo Giallo. Was one of my first wins in the Misfit Pawn Discord. Shameless plug there. Um, and Carlos hated it, but hopefully
no,
it'll be
that's incorrect.
That's
I
fucked.
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
That's too low.
exactly.
That's criminally low.
But I picked it because I think it brings up the interesting conversation of the connection between cult horror classics and queer people, and how like in many instances I feel queer people are the ones who carry culture or preserve it in many ways, like going back to Rocky Horror Picture Show, which totally bombed at first, but like over time, like because it really connected with this underrepresented group, it became like the phenomenon that we know today. And I could see Knife Plus Heart doing that, plus Dildo Knife. How could you not love Dildo Knife?
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thank you, Charlotte, for putting me onto that movie because I don't think I would have watched it had you have not recommended it, and I absolutely loved it. And it needs to have, if it doesn't have a great physical release already, it needs to.
Totally. I mean, like the visuals of that movie, like very reminiscent of like old Italian giallo and all that stuff. So it's like visually such a treat. And really like evocative and sexual, obviously. I remember seeing that in the theater, and there were multiple walkouts going on. Because obviously it's very
Hell yeah.
graphic. And I was like, okay, we're in for a hell of a movie right now. I love it too. It's a great pick.
You got to see it in theaters. I'm so jealous.
I did.
Oh.
Yeah. It was at a time where I was like really, really into Italian horror stuff, and I was like, oh man, a modern version with queer characters. I was so into. Yeah, I think it will have a cult status. Yeah, I agree.
Discovering it like early, not early, but like 2020, right as the pandemic hit. I had subscribed to Shudder and like randomly picked it and just like utterly fell in love. Ordered it the very next day on Blu-ray.
Hell yeah.
Any words about it, Carlos?
It's a good movie.
That 6 out of 10 is
Yeah,
otherwise.
it's a good movie.
Carlos hates
yeah.
the gays.
I was waiting for that.
Absolutely.
So-
hate the game.
So much of your appearances are people interrogating you for your 6 out of 10 ratings.
You know what? I don't blame them. I'm the same fucking way. Like if I see somebody give a movie that I love a 6 out of 10, I'm like, why do you hate this movie? I hate you for hating it. So I'm the same way.
Exactly.
Like, I'm like immediately offended. But no, like really, it's a good movie, and I think it has a lot to offer, like stylistically, and even just like in the horror genre, it just does quite a bit of unique things with it. And maybe it's just because I haven't seen a lot of giallo films. I think I've only seen like one or two. Maybe if I seen more, I could appreciate like the whole like homage element of it.
For sure.
But no, I mean, I'll give it a rewatch at some point. I did enjoy it though, for sure.
Have you seen Suspiria yet, Carlos? I know that was
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I think you admitted that a few episodes ago, and I was pretty shocked. Yeah, but
No, I haven't seen it yet. I was talking to somebody about it on Facebook, and I basically said I was gonna watch it before October ends, so
Please
I'll
do.
watch it.
Dude, the 4K of the original Suspiria is probably one of like the most beautiful 4Ks that I own. It's so good.
Do you
That's
have
what
the
I hear.
steelbook version of it?
No, because I skipped. I didn't buy it right away, and then I regretted it. So I ended up just getting. It's a slipcase version, but yeah, it's not a steelbook.
I
Can't
spent
remember
like
if I did.
$80 on that steelbook. Yeah, but
Money well spent, dude. Honestly, that's probably one of the best horror 4Ks out there.
100%. Yeah. Um, Not to go on an Argento uh sidebar here, but like the
I
king.
own it, and
Yeah.
I don't even like that movie that much, and I don't have a 4K player, so
Hey, that says everything. You got it still. I love it.
it's one of those things where it's pretty at the very least, and you can always
Very.
put it on and listen to some good music or something.
It's a good
Yes.
point. It does have Goblin too, if you want to listen to that music. It's got a lot going for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, who wants to go next of the boys here? Who's
Uh,
ready?
I mean, either or. I will say, Carlos, do not watch Knife Plus Heart again until you got a couple more giallos under your belt.
Okay,
Really
That's
will
true.
help you appreciate that film a lot more.
for sure. Yeah.
Or until you've been pegged.
There you go. Either one. Whichever one's
Dildo
most
knife.
All right.
likely to happen first.
I'll make sure to
Ooh,
do both before I rewatch it.
we'll
Yeah, do
stand
that.
by for that one. Yeah.
I'll have to
Um,
subscribe and pay extra to see that video.
the Misfit Pond OnlyFans coming 2024. You can go next since you got pegged basically by words. Go ahead.
All right. So at number 5, I got Brain Damage. This is a film I can't for it's hard to remember this dude's last name.
Frank
Um,
Henenlotter.
yeah, that guy. I've only seen one other film besides Brain Damage from him, which was Frankenhooker. Um, and I
Masterpiece. Phil.
enjoyed Frankenhooker. That movie is just like so much fun. But Brain Damage to me is like a pretty big step above that. It just like offers like the thing is with Brain Damage, it's a really like again, it's very B grade in a way. It's outrageous. It's in a lot of ways it's really dumb and goofy and just has everything that you want out of just like a dumb, fun horror movie with its practical effects and just like ridiculous, absurd moments that are super like comedic in nature. Um, but at the same time, it is like artful. Like at least like there's like a metaphorical like platform that's driving this film about drug addiction. So like that's another thing that I really appreciated out of this type of, B grade horror film that is aiming to be just like a dumb fun movie, but at the same time there is like a whole symbolic foundation to it. Um, but yeah, this movie is just a whole bunch of fun. The villain of this movie, which I believe goes by the name of Olimer, something like that. Um, I mean, it is just outrageous, but you just can't keep your eyes off the screen whenever he's on screen. Just a really fun use of practical effects and stop motion animation, basically. And this film is just, you can tell that the director really like put his heart and soul into this really outrageous and fun concept. And the entire movie is just a blast. Like when right when you think it can't get any more crazier and absurd, it just somehow just like goes even further with the next scene. Um, so yeah, this film is just like again, it offers a whole lot. If you're just really into like fun, outrageous B grade horror that offers a lot of like practical effect fun and gore and just really absurd, weird shit going on, but also has a compelling foundation, symbolically speaking. I mean, this is going to be right up your alley. I think when it comes to cult horror, this is like something that is honestly like a very essential film to watch.
Agreed.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely agreed.
I haven't seen a Basket Case yet, which I hear is another great one.
It is.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, it's good.
Might be
I
on
would
one of our
say
lives.
Frankenhooker and Brain Damage is slightly better, but I mean, dude,
Mm.
I enjoy Basket Case quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, Basket Case was his first film, right?
You can
Yeah.
definitely see his rise in terms of
Yeah.
filmmaking quality.
Nice.
I'm gonna
He
reserve
didn't
my
make that many
head and
films. He
ladder.
only made like 4 films or something like that, right? Like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He made like 3 basket case movies,
Yeah.
Frankenhooker. Yeah. Got a trilogy going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save my head and ladder thoughts because I got one of his films later on. So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
So, but it's a great pick. I adore Brain Damage a lot. And like the practical effects, like still hold up. They're like incredibly authentic and great.
Oh, yeah.
And really, really goofy at the same time. I love the man. I can't wait to talk about him more. But Antman, kick
So
us off.
I am actually gonna piggyback off of Charlotte, and I'm gonna go giallo horror. I figured I'd give something tasteful before I delve into the brain rot that could be cult horror, which is just not tons of blood, gore, sex, and all sorts of other stuff. And I'm gonna go with 1972's Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key by Sergio Martino. Famously,
Love
he
that one.
also did Torso and Scorpion with Two Tails.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
mouthful.
yeah, it's a mouthful, but it's so fucking good, dude, because it has literally everything that you want in a film, specifically a giallo. So it has um, excellent camera work, great atmosphere building. Um, it's got sex, it's got incest, it's got violence, it's got twists and turns, and it's all wrapped up behind kind of like a general telling of Edgar Allan Poe's The Black Cat, which is pretty damn cool. Definitely, I picked this up. It was a double box set from Arrow. It also has Lucio Fulci's The Black Cat. And I was at some bookstore that was going out of business, and I was like, it was like $15 for the box set, brand new. And I was like, you know what? An Arrow box set, brand new, $15, 2 movies. Why not? I
Whoa.
had never seen these or never heard of these, and this is many years ago. Um, this one I highly recommend. Like, I just rewatched it just to make sure that I wanted to put it on this list. And yeah, definitely. I don't think that enough people really talk about this film. Definitely a long ass title, but Sergio Martino, he's hit or miss. I like Scorpion with Two Tails, Torso, but this one is fucking outstanding. And it's also got Luigi Pistolini from Bay of Blood and Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you needed that to drag you into there you go. You got some Eastwood tie-ins.
Nice. How do you feel about All the Colors of the Dark? That's like his most famous one, and
Mm,
the only one I've seen too.
I have to rewatch, to be
It's a
honest.
yeah. It's more of a
Yeah.
stylistic exercise to me more than like classical giallo too, because it's very plot heavy to me.
Yeah. Which I could
But
definitely see that because so I feel like this one's not like your stereotypical giallo, um, unless you're talking about like early Argento, because fucking everything he put out within like his first like 10 years of doing film is just beautiful.
yeah,
But the atmosphere, this one I think takes it a little bit more in the horror direction than just a standard hack and slash giallo, which I mean that could be considered horror still because it very very definitely is. But there's just some angles and some like scene building in Your Vice is a Locked Room that just man like I don't know. It's perfect to watch during this Halloween season. And Carlos, dude, like definitely highly recommend it since you're still new to giallos. This is definitely one I would put there on that list for you.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
love to see the representation of giallo on here for sure. Um, okay. We mentioned Head and Lauder. I'm just gonna go with my next pick, and it is Basket Case. I do agree with what you said, Ant-Man, about him evolving over time. Having said that, I think Basket Case is like a glorious mess of like a lot of shitty aspects of movie making,
Okay.
but it captures that grimy 1970s New York better than most, not even just horror films, just like films in general. Like I just love the locations of this film so much. The acting is like, and line delivery is horrendously bad, but I also think that's a great mark of cult horror movies. And this movie just is inspiring because he made it off a whim and like for a very, very ultra low budget. You could tell he was casting his friends in it, and a lot of the effects, like they still look great, but like are very much like bare bones compared to what he would do later on. And I think he just, this movie from the get go has that Frank Henenlotter charm of just no fucks given, very, very silly and kind of like nihilistic in the best ways possible. And I think he's one of the most influential horror directors of his time, influencing the likes of like Cronenberg and Stuart Gordon and all these like body horror filmmakers later on. And the man never just he never really compromised his artistry for anything. So I really, really respect him. And I just, for some reason, I feel like Basket Case exemplifies like just the bare bones aspect of horror filmmaking the best. So I had to go with that, even though it's not my favorite Henenlotter by any means. But I highly recommend, if anyone hasn't gotten into Henenlotter, start with Basket Case and just go down his road of insanity all the way till Bad Biology, which is in absolute insanity. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. Like you guys talked about Henenlotter already, but like any thoughts on
I,
Basket Case?
Dude,
I just
Belial.
Specifically?
yeah.
Belial is like one of the coolest fucking like creature, like especially for like an early. That was was that his first film?
Yeah, his debut.
Dude, to have like a creature as iconic now as Belial in there is pretty dope.
Yeah,
And I agree, like, dude, seedy ass New York, it's only a select few movies of its time like will really capture that feel. That's definitely one of them.
totally.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've seen the creature, and he just looks like a fucking big clumpy turd looking thing.
Dude, that clumpy turd is on a pillow in my room that I cuddle with every day, dude.
Of course it is. I love that.
Yeah, I got my Belial pillow.
Yeah,
He's also
just seeing the creature on its own, I was like, I really just want to see. I wanted to see this movie and what it offers.
I
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
seen any of his movies, but y'all have me intrigued.
you would love him. You would
Yeah,
love him, man.
Would.
you would really love Frankenhooker.
See, that's the one I think I would enjoy the
It's
most.
so fucking good. It's so
To,
fun.
to me, that's his magnum opus.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's just everything culminated into one. And made probably the most people mad in the world too. So
Mm.
that's another plus for him. Yeah. Um, yeah. You're right. The creature's so iconic. He's actually my profile picture right now in Discord. So
Hell
um,
yeah.
he's one of my favorite just icons in horror history. I just can't say enough. And just so much, this is like the perfect 1 a.m. movie to throw on when if you're like falling asleep or you're with a friend or something. Like that's like Head and Lauder to me. It's like when your brain is rotting at 1 a.m., he's like, he'll take you to church every time. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, that's my dissertation on Frank Head and Lauder. Charlotte, you can go next.
Okie dokie. So my next pick is the fourth in a franchise, and it's a movie that's very, very special to me. And I've talked about it briefly on the channel before, but I feel like this film really exemplifies the so bad it's good type thing that is associated with cult classics. It's The Bride of Chucky. Jennifer Tilly in that movie taught me everything that I need to know about being a woman. It's endlessly quotable. I mean, if a woman spends all day slaving over a hot stove, the least a man can do is the dishes. And if he doesn't, you stab his fucking ass.
It's a good Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah.
Good Jennifer Tilly. Love Jennifer Tilly.
I haven't seen Bride of Chucky. I've only seen, in terms of like the later Chucky movies, I've only seen Seed of Chucky.
I was
Oh,
gonna say,
dude.
was
I
that
love
you?
that movie too. So
The greatest title ever. I love that.
Yeah. It's got John Waters, so that's a win for me.
Yes, absolutely.
That movie's a trip.
Dude, Bride of Chucky is incredible. Bride of Chucky, honestly, I think saved like the longevity of the Chucky franchise. Even though I love Child's Play 3, um, Bride of Chucky just took it into a whole different like playing field.
It just really exemplifies camp, I feel
Yep.
like at its highest. And Tiffany is like just such an iconic like character. I feel like so many people like relate to her, or just really love her, which is interesting. And then it's like carried on into a TV show and just been this whole cult
Right.
phenomena. Love Chucky.
Same.
I haven't made it to part 4 yet. I need to finish the movies. I stopped at 2, but yeah.
I think you
I've-
would really like Bride of Chucky, Jake. Like
Mhm.
it's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie.
Oh, I
Yes.
mean,
It's a good time.
I'm a camp fiend, so I'm so into this. I can't wait. And I'm a big Jennifer Tilly fan also. So I will get to that. Seed of Chucky for some reason has always intrigued me, just based on the seed aspect of all of it. Just
A
the
lot
whole.
of Chucky fans fucking hate that movie, but I love it. I think
Yeah.
it's perfect.
I remember when both Bride of Chucky came out and Seed of Chucky came out, everybody was telling me how fucking horrible both of those movies were.
The wrong.
Those are
And
the
now-
wrong people.
And just hearing you talk about Bride of Chucky, Charlotte, makes me really want to watch it. Because before that, I really didn't have any interest, because everything I heard about that movie was just like, oh, it's fucking terrible. It's fucking terrible. But if it has that so bad it's good element, like, I'm definitely on board.
Like it's just a fun time. Like of course it's not like some distinguished piece of art that should go in the National Museum, but
Yeah.
No,
It's
it's
special
it's
to
good.
me.
Yeah. It's
The way you
it's
described it.
like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, the way you described it, it should be in a museum of camp at least.
The John Waters Museum.
The John Waters exactly. Oh, please, my dream. Go ahead, Carlos.
No, I was just gonna say it's basically the same with like the fucking Seed of Chucky too. I mean, that movie is just. I remember when I watched it, even as a kid, I was like, "This movie fucking sucks. What is this?" And then, like, I don't know. The more that I grew up, I kept wanting just to watch it again for some reason. I'm like, I want to watch Seed of Chucky again. And now I just watch it and I just get so much like entertainment value from it. Like, despite whatever it is, it's just entertaining.
True story, in the 5th grade, I was obsessed with Seed of Chucky and Bride of Chucky, and I went to sleep every night watching one of those two films and then skipping
Hell
for
yeah.
Halloween. Just like such a vibe. My parents must have been on some sort of crack, bro.
Right. That molded you to the person you are today, though. So it's watching those on a
My
nightly
parents
basis.
were on some sort of crack, bruh.
Damn.
Who could follow that up? That's a tough act to follow.
I think Bride of Chucky has like some of my favorite lines. Like Tiff, like, did you bring a rubber? Tiff, look at me. I'm all rubber. Just stupid shit like that is so
Oh
good.
my god!
Chucky, were you born with that knife glued onto your hand or what? For fuck's sake, stabbing went out in the 90s with Bundy and Dahmer. It's like what Martha Stewart always says. When guests drop by for dinner and you haven't had time to shop, you improvise.
Yes. Man, that's a damn good Tilly.
Well, yeah, that's really. I'm with Jennifer Tilly right now. Is what I feel like. Oh man,
It's amazing how much.
it's more amazing that you can quote it front to back.
Exactly, that
That's
was
what
a
it
long-
seems like.
A long
I-
quote.
Literally watched it every night before bed. In 5th
Well, I
grade.
can quote the entire script of some movies. Like, I can quote the entire script of like Happy Gilmore and Shrek, and just movies like that. I can recite the entire fucking script.
Same, but with Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah, I could probably only do that with like Big Lebowski, or
Same with
I mean,
Big
that might be it actually.
Yeah.
Dude, Where's My Car? Like the Chinese food scene. I think about that a lot.
Hell yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah, dude.
cinema. That's cinema right there. Yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
Oh shit. Okay. So number 4, we got Society. Shout out to my friend Brandon Smith who requested this film to me as a Patreon request back when I did those. And I have a whole video on this film if you guys want to hear my more extensive thoughts. But yeah, this film is just a fucking great time. And honestly, like the first 2 acts of this film are fine, but it's really that third act, like the last 20 minutes that are just it's absolutely bonkers. Honestly, probably one of the most bonkers last 20 minutes of a film that I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yep.
I mean, every single second of it just has your jaw like just drop completely on the fucking floor. The imagery that you see never gets old because it's just constantly getting more absurd as you're just going into like each layer of hell with every single scene. It's just the amount of time that was put into these practical effects and the amount of creativity that was poured into these practical effects. Which I mean, it is, I mean, commendable to say the least. Just so much went into the ridiculousness of the presentation of those final 20 minutes. And again, like I'm not trying to dog on, pretty much the entire film before the last 20 minutes because it offers plenty. But it's again, I think really what makes this film special and what really made it stick its landing and helped it, gain the following that it has is because of those final 20 minutes. It is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, you literally see somebody with an ass on his face. Like he's a face ass creature thing.
His dad.
And it's
His
like
dad says,
asshole
"I am
face.
a butthead."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sheer insanity. And honestly, like it's actually kind of off-putting. Like usually with like B-grade films, you're like, okay, yeah, it's absurd. They're trying, but it's really just more funny. Yeah, here it's like funny and absurd, but it's kind of also like off-putting. Like it actually achieves it being a little bit unsettling with how just like grotesque a lot of the imagery is. Um, so yeah. And obviously, like it's called Society. It's very obvious with its theme. It's just very like in your face about the the kind of like the top 1% and the elites of society. Having a conspiracy on poor people and how they rope other rich people into their elite group. And it's just like again, it just takes the obvious concept of conspiracy in that way and just goes completely just opens the floodgates with that, especially in the third act, and it just delivers again one of the most batshit insane final 20 minutes that you'll ever see in a movie, especially to be a great film. It's just fucking insane. I definitely recommend watching it if you haven't seen it, obviously.
Same here, dude.
Yeah, agreed. I remember I wanted to see that film for like the longest time, and Arrow put it out, and they put it out with like the deluxe edition. Now it's like a thick box, and it's all embossed on the front. And
Yeah.
it took me a minute to get it, but I finally did. And yeah, that last 20 minutes is definitely a trip. I love it though. I love it though. I actually there for a minute for like a week or two. I'd put it on to go to sleep.
The
I'd
final
wake up.
20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I put the movie on. I'd wake up in the final 20
It's
minutes.
like,
Like,
oh,
yeah, I'm like still like half asleep, and I wake up and I'm seeing that. I'm like, fuck. Uh,
that's nightmare
yeah,
fuel right there, dude.
you don't need drugs. Just go to sleep and wake up in final 20 minutes of society. You're good.
I uh I hate that I always brag about seeing things in theaters, but I did see this in theaters
Fuck that
Um,
obvious.
with a Q&A with the director Brian Usna, and it was one of the funnest movie going experiences of my life. And he is like, for how old he is still like hilarious and insane of a person. Just hearing him talk about making that movie and like how upset the studio and like even the actors were making that movie, it was just like the funnest conversation to hear. And I mean I agree, Carlos. Like the first 2/3 are like very like mystery procedural sort of investigation
yeah.
thing, and then it becomes like the most whacked out body horror movie you've ever seen in your life. And it's it yeah, like top 10 like horror movies for me of all time. Actually, it's like
Oh
I
shit!
show it to everybody. I love it so much.
Right.
Similar to what Ant-Man said about Evil Dead 2, I was like, I wanted to pick stuff that I haven't talked about so much, but
Mm.
that's one of them for sure. I love it. I'm glad you picked it, obviously.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
I
I had no idea that you love that film this much.
have a deep passion for that orgy scene, my dude.
Same, dude.
There's so much to marvel at. Charlotte, have you seen it?
I have not.
Yeah, that's another one you got to add to that list. I think you'd
Hen
enjoy
and
it.
Lauder in Society.
Hey, they honestly go pretty hand in hand. Like I could,
They
in
do,
some
yeah.
like off the wall, like different parallel universe, like I could totally see Society being like directed by Hen and Lauder.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
100%. Have you seen The Dentist by Brian Usna, Ant-Man?
Yes, I have, and because of that movie and some traumatic dental experiences when I was a kid, I'm terrified of the fucking
Yeah.
dentist.
That movie
Absolutely
is
terrified.
fucking insane.
I love
That
it
movie.
though.
It's so good.
Especially the first one. The first one, it's like all this crazy shit's happening and everybody's totally like, oh,
Oblivious to everything.
yeah, understandable. They're just sitting there like, oh, okay, like the doctor's taking forever. He's acting weird, like coming out sweating, like borderline coked out of his
Yeah,
mind. Fucking, oh, people are going missing. Oh, I don't know what's
right.
happening here. Let's just continue on our day. Meanwhile, he's fucking torturing the shit out of his ex-wife or his wife. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild. It's wild.
Oh, that movie's that's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Incredible. Not an MCU movie. I don't know why I phrased it.
Nope.
It's a
It's
Marvelous
canon.
Yeah.
MCU.
The
Marvel
Dentist
movie.
franchise is canon now. Oh man.
The new superhero, the dentist.
Yeah, dude. Tony Stark's favorite movie.
He's the villain of the next phase of Marvel.
Oh,
This
fuck.
man just ripping out teeth everywhere. Yeah.
That's everybody's worst nightmare. I could see that.
Seriously. Yeah. Like yeah, you're next, Ant-Man. Like we
All
did
right.
before.
So I told y'all that I was gonna give you something artful, and then I'm gonna delve down into the dredges, and yeah. So I'm gonna start off with 1982's Pieces by Juan Piquer Simon,
Great
the
one.
famous director of Slugs, starring Christopher George from Graduation Day. This movie I came across when I was like when DVDs first started becoming a thing and Walmart started having those dump bins of like 5 movies for like $10 or something like that, or
Yeah.
like 50 horror pack for like $10. And I remember I was like obsessed with collecting all the horror ones as much as I could and watch them all. And I came across Pieces and the tagline is you don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre.
That's right.
And being from Texas, which I need to get the fuck out of here because apparently all the good screenings are where you're at, Jake. So um, I watched this and I absolutely fell in love. This is kind of Giallo-esque, to be honest. Like, I mean, that's you're kind of walking like a little bit of a line, and some Giallo purists would be like, no, it's not, whatever. Pieces is fucking awesome. It's another weirdly one that kind of deals with sex. A little boy gets caught putting together a nudie puzzle by his mom and starts beating the shit out of him. And he's like, you know what? I've had enough. Damn it. Kill my mama.
Oh shit! I fucking seen that movie. I just
Yeah.
forgot. Yeah, I seen that movie. I watched that for I think it was Payne Raven's movie night in the Discord. Watched
Hell
it.
yeah.
Yeah, that movie's awesome, dude.
Yeah, this one like doesn't ever really get talked about. Grindhouse Releasing did a fucking awesome job with this. Not only
Mhm.
like is this releasing great, but it has a documentary on here called 42nd Street Memories, and it is like if I could ever transport myself back in time, it would be 1970s to early 80s. New York City on 42nd Street, where they had all like the
Mhm.
grindhouse theaters that were like intertwined with all the like hardcore porno theaters and stuff. And like the way they were making it seem is like you walk into a theater and like there's like rats and shit moving everywhere and there's like cum on seats and stuff like that and like stale ass popcorn and like then you get to watch cool shit like this and like Cannibal Holocaust and stuff like and you don't know if you're gonna like come out fine or if you're gonna get stabbed in the like on the way out of the theater and like die or some shit like that would be fucking cool, dude. See a movie like Pieces and then like you get stabbed on the way out. Like that would be awesome.
Two for the price of one.
Exactly, right? Like, dude, that's more bang for your buck. That's like
It's a
Roger
good,
Corman-esque right there.
yeah, that's like Vincent Price. What are you going?
Or fucking yeah,
Interactive
It's
theater. Yeah,
William Castle, yeah.
yeah. William Castle. There you go.
it's an authentic 4D experience.
Yeah. Way ahead of its time.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, Pieces, man. Like, I love the '80s, and that's to where it kind of starts for me. But yeah, that's one that's slept upon. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it.
I
If you
agree.
if you don't like it, then I don't know
Fuck
what to tell
yourself.
you. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, dude, because it's great.
Yeah, I
It
agree. It was a
it's
fun
really
time.
great.
I enjoyed it.
The waterbed scene is one of my favorite kills in any horror movie of all time.
Oh,
It's like really striking imagery right there.
yep,
And I love college campus giallos, if you can call it that. Just that culture of youth culture and the sleaze of that comes with
yep.
it is like just a cherry on top. The intro of that movie's insane too.
Oh yeah,
When he cuts, he murders his mom and everything. It's like
yeah.
absolute
The
insanity.
the scene that like really sticks out to me is like when he's like chainsawing through the door. That like
Oh
girl is
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, she's in the bathroom or something like that, and she's obviously topless because it's an '80s
yeah.
slasher film. But yeah, like when he's like chainsawing through the door, and then like obviously he gets her. It's actually, I can't show it on here, but it's, if you open up the case, it's on the inside of here. That was probably one of the coolest scenes. I remember like I saw that whenever I was watching it for the first time, I saw that. I'm like, this is a winner. This is a winner in my book. I need to remember this film. And for the longest time, it was just in those Walmart dump bins and like every horror thing until Grindhouse put it out. I got really happy.
I have the DVD version of that Grindhouse movie you're talking about. I wonder if it has that documentary because I really want to watch that now.
Dude,
Yeah,
seriously, if you can, if it's on there, definitely watch it. It's so good. It's definitely worth your time.
yeah, absolutely. And like for some reason we keep talking about grimy New York in the 70s and 80s, but it truly was like one of a kind special.
Oh yeah.
And like celebrating sleaze in the best way possible.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I wouldn't be the
Uh,
man I am today without 70s, 80s New York City. I don't know if that's good or
hell
bad, but it's there.
yeah. We'll leave that up to people to decide, but I vote on the good side.
Uh,
Um, I'll go next with an Italian horror movie. Antman's gotten me excited to talk about this, but Lucio Fulci is one of my favorite director of the bunch that we've been discussing. And this is not his most obscure movie by any means, but The Beyond was a big movie for me. Got me into more obscure horror movies. Like I'll never forget watching this in high school and just having my mind blown at like wow, how much this movie packs in. First of all, it's like one of the most perfectly paced horror movies of all time. It takes place in Louisiana, which is like that, kind of haunted lore already baked into it. So I love that aspect. It starts out as a haunted house movie and slowly becomes, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, like a world-ending zombie apocalyptic sort of just horror that's unleashed upon the earth. That it all stems from this lady buying this house, and the way this movie just kind of unfolds, it's just so much fun. And the effects are really incredible. The camera work and the stylistic elements of Lucio Fulci are obviously really impressive as always. But this movie is like the most entertaining of his movies, if I could say that. A lot of his other movies like Don't Torture a Duckling,
Oh, so good.
The Psychic, Murder Rock, could be more on the bleak side, which I do love them. But The Beyond, for me, is like really accessible if you want to get more into cult horror. So I wanted to highlight that. But one of my favorite horror filmmakers, bar none. So I just had to highlight him and talk about like the final 20 minutes of a film. The final 20 minutes of this movie like becomes a Romero movie at sometimes, and I just fucking love it so much. And man, do you know if there's a release of this movie? Because I always have trouble finding a physical release, and it is one of my favorite horror movies. So it's like a long time search. I've been on the
There,
quest
there
for it.
is a physical release of it. I don't remember who put it out. But thank you for bringing up The Beyond because that movie often gets shitted upon by like kind of the random few that have seen it. and some of like the purists will always like be diehards on the hill for Zombie, which I'm not like huge on the on Zombie, but the Beyond is so fucking good, dude. Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said. It deserves to be on that cult list. I'm trying to find right now.
No, it's
Uh,
okay. I agree with Zombie is like his most famous movie because like it's an unofficial sequel to Dawn of the Dead, I believe. Like that
mm,
was them trying to capitalize on like Romero and the zombie craze. And that movie's fun. Like they have the shark fighting the zombie in the water and all that stuff. But like if you're gonna talk about that man's masterpiece, like to me, it's Between the Beyond and Don't Torture a Duckling, which I absolutely love that movie too.
same.
Um,
I
and
love
Carlos
Fulci.
and Charlotte, if you haven't watched Lucio Fulci's filmography at all, definitely that
Yeah,
the
I
Beyond's a
haven't at
great
all.
place to start.
I fucking love Fulci. I feel like he's like the most horror adjacent to the Giallo directors. Like if you want to
Yeah,
like just be like
definitely.
straight up horror, go with Lucio Fulci. One of the first films me and Will ever watched together was Zombie, actually, because he told me he didn't like horror movies, but he liked zombie movies. Spoiler alert, he did not like.
Oh, does he
Damn.
love like Romero stuff a lot?
No, he likes The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
He
Oh
doesn't
man.
like gory shit at all, so
Damn.
I know it's so
Damn.
weird because I'm such a gore hound.
Yeah.
We
I've never
balance each
seen
other
a
out.
I've never seen Zombie, but I've seen like a few clips of that. And yeah, that shit's like fucking gore-tastic.
Zombie versus shark.
Eyeballs.
Zombie versus shark. Yeah.
I haven't seen
Eyeballs.
that. Zombie versus Shark. When you said that, Jake, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You got
That's
to see it to believe it.
I can't even picture that in my head.
Yeah, that's why I love Italian horror so much. Actually, like European horror, but a lot of Italian horror because they essentially said fuck all safety rules on a lot of aspects and said let's just get it done
Yeah.
and stop complaining. And like, granted, if I was on one of like the productions, I would be very questioning why I'm here. But in like looking back on it, like man, dude, that is legitimate balls to the walls. Like I don't give a fuck. I'm getting this done. It's like
Mhm.
horror cinema.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, if you look at like Umberto Lenzi, for example, or Joe Giamatti, those guys did whatever the fuck it took.
Yep.
You know, even playing with like dangerous animals and like real weapons, I believe, and
Yep.
just the craziest shit possible. There's a great documentary on those guys too that I've watched. They're fascinating and really groundbreaking shit. But yeah, that the Beyond that's my number three. So Charlotte, you are up next.
Okay, so my next pick is this little movie. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it was really, really popular when I was in high school. We would dare each other to watch it, you know, it was very that. It's the Human Centipede. Fucking love that movie.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
So infamous, and I think it's really interesting that like a film could become so famous and sort of like a cultural phenomenon based purely on how fucking infamous it is and
Ass to
stuff, and
mouth.
then spawned what 2 to 3 sequels. Yes, they did ass to mouth before it was popular.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why millennials are obsessed with eating ass. Um, But I honestly think the first one is like a legitimately good film. Like I love it. Udo Kier is fucking great in it. Terrifying, disgusting, gross, everything you want.
Yeah, I love the first two Human Centipede movies. The third one can go fuck itself, but definitely the first two are just insane. Yeah, and that's I remember like the only reason why I wanted to see the Human Centipede is because I read on a horror article where it said man's making a movie about sewing people to each other's asses.
Yeah.
I'm like, sold. Where can I see this?
And it's just like I've already said it, but like it's become like a cultural phenomenon, or it was at least. I remember like being in high school and like looking online and there being like human centipede fucking Christmas sweaters.
I
Yeah.
That's
love the
wonderful.
fucking I love the fucking South Park spoof episode of the Human
Yeah.
Centipede.
Human Centipad.
Yep.
Yes,
The,
yes,
the new the new iPad.
Do I eat the vanilla paste or the cuttlefish?
You got to read the terms and agreements. Yeah, that was. I mean, Charlotte nailed it with like the whole daring your friends to watch it, and whatever age we were when that came out. It's like that was
Yeah.
a big like we would try to see who would like tap out in a sleepover or something like that. It's the second movie. I maybe got to give it another chance, but that was like that's one of the few movies I had to turn off because it was so fucked up, and it was like
It's fucked. It really is fucked. Everything
But-
about it's fucked. But
like even like the color palette and the way that movie looks, like it like haunted my dreams for a long
Yeah.
time when I saw it. And
Yeah.
there's a moment in that movie involving a baby, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
like you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Um,
Tom Six was like, you know what? What's gonna make this one gnarlier? Let's just shoot it in black and white and put Lawrence
Mm.
Harvey as like a fat guy with bulging ass eyes.
yeah.
And yeah, it's gnarly as hell.
I
Damn, I
haven't
wish.
seen the second one.
All right,
haven't
just
seen
watch
the
the
second
second
one.
one. Just watch the second one and completely forget there's a third one that exists because it's fucking terrible.
I think
Okay.
I've started it and didn't finish it because like something happened or I was like bored by the first 10 minutes. And like with a movie like that, I'm not like concerned about finishing it if I'm bored with it.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's fair.
It was like they're trying to do like 100 ass to mouths in that one, right? Pretty
Yeah, and
much.
then in part 3, they're trying to do like fucking 500 or 1,000 or some shit.
1,000.
It's just stupid, dude.
The
At that
third
point,
one is an excellent critique on the private prison.
Yeah, I was gonna say it
community in
comments-
there you go.
The commentary in the prison industrial complex, right? Of course,
God.
as it should be. That's a great pick though too, because I feel like it's beyond. It was like maybe the most popular of all the movies we've talked about. Funny enough, because of just the
Yeah.
word of mouth of that movie was insane. Like,
But I feel like that's just like goes with like cult classic, like it became
Yeah.
famous because of word of mouth and like how infamous it is.
besides the Blair Witch Project, it might be like the most popular movie that's like stemmed from the internet, in terms of
Mhm.
horror movies, So like that really fits the definition really well, I think. So
Oh yeah.
good stuff.
Dude, it sucks because for some odd reason, Tom Six, he made a new movie and he's trying to release it, but he can't, and he's having a hard time releasing it based off of how gnarly the Human Centipede trilogy was. And his newest film is supposed to be even worse. So yeah, nobody wants to put it out. I'm like, well, fuck. I wish
I
you'd never
wanna
put it
see
online because I
it.
want to see it. I've read what it's about and I really want to see it.
I do too. Carlos, can you put it in your film festival maybe?
There you go.
Here we got
Dude, I
Tom
would
Six
totally
on
do that.
deck.
I totally
Let me
fucking
see.
do that.
Tom Six, if you're out there, Carlos has got your back. He'll put your movie out there for you.
I got you, bro. I won't even charge you the fucking submission fee. I'll do it for free, bro.
Yeah.
You get so many people watching your live stream of that. That'd be like 1 million people tune in.
Hell yeah.
We'll get it done. We'll get it done. All right. I think you're next, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 3 is David Cronenberg's The Brood.
Oh, sick.
It's not my first Cronenberg film because my first Cronenberg film that I saw is a film that some people know called The Fly, and it I watched it when I was like 11 or 12, and it fucking traumatized the shit out of me. And then just forever, I never cared to watch another David Cronenberg film. And then when I was in film school, it was a requirement to watch The Brood. So I was like, all right, cool. And I really, really dug it. This is one of, I think, Cronenberg's like divisive films. Honestly, I don't think I've ever talked to anybody that's like, oh, I fucking love this movie. Almost everybody that I talk to just say like, it's all right.
I
But
love it.
this movie is just like really awesome. Like, yeah, really the only critique I can give it is that it just has like some dated, like cheesy moments that are just, I don't know if are meant to be funny, but they just come off funny. But really, besides that, I just think like conceptually and thematically, this film offers a whole lot. I mean, a lot about this film is about like repressing stress and traumas in your life and how that can manifest physically on your outer self. And Cronenberg takes that concept and does his whole body horror thing, and he does it really well. And again, Cronenberg's famous for having these really like batshit crazy third acts. The Brood is a perfect example of that. The third act of this film just progresses into sheer insanity, offers a lot of that like grotesque body horror stuff that everybody loves from his films, and crafts a really compelling character arc and character moment out of it. And symbolically, the film kind of comes full circle, and it's just a whole lot of fun. So yeah, The Brood, fucking awesome. It's on Criterion too, so I think it's definitely worth watching and trying to consider if you want to buy next month during the sale.
One of the
Absolutely.
first Criterions I ever bought.
Oh, same here. I think it
Oh,
was
nice.
I think it was like my second or third.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good. I love Cronenberg a lot, so I'm
Same.
glad you brought him up. And that is the one for cult status, I think. I mean, a lot of his movies have just become really popular over the years, because he's so infamous and popular. So The Brood is more like an undercurrent of his career, and like
Yep.
it's super like unsettling
Yeah.
in every way. Really kind of jump started more of his like his style and everything, for sure. So I'm a big fan of it too.
Same. Yeah, I think thank you for bringing The Brood up because I feel like that movie is often criminally overlooked. Same with Scanners. I fucking love Scanners.
Scanners rules, yeah.
Yeah, I love Cronenberg. Like with the exception of I'm not even gonna name it, but it's his most recent film.
Exposition of the future.
Yeah,
Can't listen to that. I can't listen to that anymore.
yeah. But I mean, I'm one of those that's a Cosmopolis fucking apologist. I love Cosmopolis.
Me
But
too, man.
yeah, dude. Yes, thank you. That was the first one where I was like, you know what? Robert Pattinson has definitely broken out of his shell from Twilight. Like, he's definitely
Perfect
gonna be one to
casting.
watch.
Yeah.
Yep. But The Brood is so fucking good. I get so ticked off when I hear people saying like, "Oh, it's boring." And I'm like, "No, it's
No,
not. Watch it.
it's not boring at
Are
all.
we watching
Yeah,
the
how
same
could-
fucking movie?"
Cronenberg
Yeah.
gets that critique a lot because I think his movies are more sophisticated and just meticulous and dry, I guess, is a good way to describe, especially his earlier horror movies pre-Fly. Just
Yeah.
in like the tone, and they're not really showy.
They're
So
Well, like,
Canadian.
it's Canadian, yeah. That's a better way to say it, yeah.
surprisingly, he does care a lot about like establishing plot and theme and character and stuff like that. Like he's not one of those like filmmakers that just does body horror just for the sake of being grotesque. Even though that even though he obviously loves doing that, at least a lot of films that I've seen from him, he really likes to take his time and try to craft a narrative that like that kind of like encapsulates the themes of the film that he's going for. It's all very purposeful, and maybe that's the reason why some people may find it boring because it does have like sometimes a slow pace, but I don't know, it always feels purposeful and it just pays off so well, especially with The Brood.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. If you think it's boring, then get fucked.
Yes, agreed.
Does that go for Crimes of the Future too?
You know what?
I'm
I'll probably give that a rewatch, but yeah, that one was a little bit of a letdown for me. I'm sorry, dude.
It's okay. I thought if all people, I thought you'd be on my side, but it's okay.
History
I mean,
is
if
not
you
over
want-
yet.
No one's on my side with that one. It's all
I
right.
like it.
There you go.
Yes.
Will loves it, but
You see that you don't need anybody else on your side besides
That's
Charlotte.
true.
You got
That's
Charlotte, you
true.
got the world.
If
Oh,
y'all want,
that's a great point.
if y'all want an even hotter take, I think Videodrome is a little overrated.
Get the
I
fuck
know.
out of here,
yeah.
dude.
I know you. I know that.
I'm gonna
I
go
know.
and put fucking
You're killing
air in
me,
your
dude.
shampoo, dude. I'm putting air in
That
your
one I-
shampoo.
That one I did feel like at times was kind of boring.
I hope
But-
James Woods ends up in your TV and snatches you out.
But I need
you
to
don't
watch
get
it
to
again.
objectify Debbie Harry ever again.
You do
You
need
should-
to watch it again.
I think
Yeah,
you should.
I'll
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
I'll watch it with you. Fucking
All
digital
right.
gun
Video.
to your head.
Video. Yeah.
You better like
Staring
this
at
shit.
staring at you the whole time.
Yeah.
I adore that movie so much. But Cronenberg's not the most, you know, he's so polarizing, so I
Yeah,
get it.
Rigby. Shots at
Yeah.
you, Rigby.
I wasn't gonna say, but yeah,
Hey,
I
she liked
was
the dead zone, so we're getting her one by one.
yeah. We'll get there. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
gotta start
Uh
somewhere.
all right, man. You want to go next?
Yeah, so this one is actually cool because it's got a resurgence right now because Claudio Simonetti and Goblin are going around touring right now, and I can't be there, and it fucking kills me. I have met Claudio Simonetti before, and I got a picture disc of this movie signed on vinyl from him, so I'm happy there. But this is 1985's Demons by Lamberto Bava, who is the son of the great, late, famous Mario Bava. Black
Yes.
Sunday, Kill Baby Kill, to name a few. Um, Starring Uberno Barberini, who is in opera, and the newer Casino Royale. There's going to be a tie-in to Casino Royale later. Demons
Hmm.
is fucking crazy, dude. Like the soundtrack is amazing to this film. It's if you've never seen it, people get invited to a mysterious film. They go to watch it, and some chaos ensues. Don't really want to spoil it too much, but this is like a really I think this is probably like a really good mixture of like Italian cinema and American cinema. Like it's an Italian film that plays out kind of like an American film. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was popular here when it first came out. Um, I have this demon mask in my living room. I got it imported from this maker in Italy. Uh, and then on here, it's got the film ticket. If you've never seen Demons, this pretty much sums up like to me like cult 80s horror pretty well. Like it's got everything that you want, minus like I guess artistic merit. Like it's not your vice is a locked room, but it's got blood, guts, gore, killer soundtrack, really inventive shots. Like there's some really cool ass like filmmaking in here. And it's all crammed in one of my favorite places on this earth to be in, a theater auditorium. Like
Mhm.
if I were to ever be attacked by zombies or whatever the demons in
Yeah.
this case, I'm down going out inside of a theater auditorium as long as it's something good on the screen. Kill me, like, I'm fine. Um,
100%.
but yeah, Demons honestly even Demons 2. Like I'll put Demons 2 kind of on the same pedestal. Part 1
And
is definitely going to be higher than that, but if you've never seen it, please do yourself a favor, add that onto your watch list. Definitely get it under your belt before this month is over because classic.
I concur.
Hell
It's,
yeah.
it's didn't Mario help direct this movie? I could be wrong about that, but
Honestly, probably because I know he had his hand. Uh, Lamberto Bava, I don't think he didn't really direct a whole lot of shit. In fact, I think he's only directed like I don't know.
this is
But
Demons too, and he co-directed Shock, which is a great Mario Bava film too.
yep.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's cool to have like a father and son working together on a production.
so cool.
And then you got Dario Argento attached to this shit too. Is like I think he's
Right.
credited as a writer and obviously producer. Like that's fucking cool.
He co-wrote with Farini, dude, who's like one of the
Yeah.
greatest like Italian figures. It's like there's so much talent on this movie. It's crazy.
Yep.
And Simonetti, like hot take, this might be one of his best scores. Maybe not a hot take, but like the score is like banging, dude.
Dude,
Like, up
absolutely.
there, Suspiria and Opera is like my favorite Italian horror
Absolutely, dude.
scores. Yeah,
Seriously, like Goblin is like the gift that we did not deserve. And
yeah,
Claudio Simonetti is I'm glad that like he's touring now more often and playing these giving people the chance to see the movie on the big screen while listening to the score live. Because like if the movie didn't click with you, like that's going to be the way it's going to click with you because the soundtrack for any of the
very
movies
true.
he's really been in is great. And I mean, I'm so fortunate. I've had the pleasure of meeting Claudio Simonetti, Lamberto Bava, Dario Argento, and the late
Wow.
great Ruggiero Diodaro. So I
Holy
love,
shit.
yeah, Texas Frightmare Weekend. The only cool thing that has come out of Texas is Texas Frightmare Weekend every year in Dallas. Um, but yeah,
Wow. I
dude, fucking
gotta go to that.
yeah, Italian horror. Almost every Italian horror film that I've seen always has some sort of a banging ass soundtrack in there. At least a couple tracks within that film somewhere.
For sure.
It's bar none, dude. America can't compete.
Goro
Then,
Miyazaki
especially in
wishes
horror, yeah. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Goro Miyazaki
Yeah.
wishes his dad would.
Goro needs a big spanking after what he did. So, but real talk, Brandon Cronenberg and David, I would love to see them do something together. That'd be a lot of fun.
Dude, Brandon Cronenberg is off to such an awesome start. Like, I
Yeah.
love
Very
Antiviral, but
cool.
Antiviral is great. Is never talked about.
It's really good.
Possessor's
Yeah.
great, and then obviously Infinity Pool was just the fact of like there's a movie like Infinity Pool that got shown in theaters.
It's
Um,
insane.
yeah, on like a commercial level is pretty insane, dude. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Mia
awesome.
Goth is
Possessor is
like
my favorite though.
yeah. Possessor. I
Oh,
would
it's
say
so
I would
good.
I would agree.
Favorite.
Yeah.
That movie rocked my fucking world. Like I mean, I expected to like it, but I really loved that movie. I was like, damn, this movie is absorbing. It's hypnotic. It's gruesome as hell. It just
Terrifying.
wonderfully directed. Like I don't know. I fucking love Possessor a lot.
Same,
I feel
dude.
like it's just what us Kino Lords needed during the pandemic after not getting to go to the theater for
Yeah.
so
Yes.
long.
It was great to have a super out there genre movie like that come out, and to have Infinity Pool come out. I agree. Like, just such a blessing to have like
Yeah.
bizarre ass horror still in the mainstream or in theaters, I guess you could say.
If-
I love Brandon like picks such great actors like Caleb Landry Jones, Chris Abbott,
Yes.
and Mia Goth Skarsgård. Like
Yeah.
he's got an eye for just so many wonderful actors too. And so did his dad, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
Like
Andrea Riseborough. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Dude, yeah,
so-
like Charlotte and Carlos, if y'all haven't seen Antiviral, please watch that. It's such a cool ass concept of a film that I feel is like
Mhm.
very like you could apply it to today's society very easily with like
Yeah.
fucking how people froth at the mouth over celebrities and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's
Yep.
the one that has knockoff Eddie Redmayne in it, isn't it?
Who?
Not Eddie Redmayne. Who are you
Yeah.
referring to with that?
Yeah, I don't know who that.
Caleb-
Caleb
somebody-
Landry Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's there. He's there. He does a
He is
great
so-
job.
He is so much better than Eddie Redmayne. It's
Yeah.
silly.
I mean, I agree, but he's not nearly as cute.
There you go. Not to
like-
knock his cuteness. Eddie Redmayne doesn't really do much for me in the acting department, though. He is an Oscar winner.
Mhm.
Whatever.
That's
Caleb
something.
Landry Jones is the filthiest motherfucker in Hollywood. I love him.
Have y'all ever seen the movie Hick? Not to get off too long. but
Yes.
that movie's
Hitch?
fucked. Hick.
Yeah.
Oh,
It has him and Chloe
Oh
Grace
yeah,
Moretz.
yeah. That
Yeah.
movie's fucked up. Yeah.
I'm a Chloe Grace Moretz stan.
Same. Ever since I was 14 and saw her in the Let the Right One In remake.
Yep. And it was very questionable at the time because I was a little older. I'm like, yo, she's obviously underage and I'm a fan. This feels fucking weird, dude.
Canceled.
Yeah.
Man left the chat. No.
Yeah. It sucks she doesn't
No,
really
she's
do much
great.
anymore. Yeah.
She was in the Suspiria remake too. That's
She was-
cool. See her in that.
For like a little bit, dude.
Yeah, not enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Chloe Grace Moretz episode?
Yeah. I'm down.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how we got there at all, but I'm glad we did. I will go next to talk about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which may be the biggest cult classic of all time in terms of the fan base it has amassed. I know, and it still remains so because a lot of people still, haven't come around to this film or haven't given it a chance because of the central, conceit of Michael Myers not being in it. But
He is.
he is, yeah. I think Sorry, it's a correction. He's on a screen at one point. But goddamn, man, like I think we had talked about this in our episode we were talking about kids horror movies actually, but I'll reiterate, like I wanted them to continue in hindsight, if they continued making original stories with each subsequent Halloween movie, we would have come away with so many like creative and insane and wonderful horror movies. Like I'd wish they had kept up with it, and maybe John Carpenter would have, been around to help develop some of these stories. But nonetheless, we got Halloween 3, and I think is just such a joy to watch every time. Super creative in its plotting, like a lot of these movies we talked about, but like to be murdering children is such a joy. And the commercialization, like this movie has great commentary on just commercialization and consumerism, similar to like Dawn of the Dead, where it uses that prism of horror to talk about how obsessive we are about products, and channeling that through children is just pretty fucking awesome in my opinion. Tom Atkins in this movie plays like the scummiest motherfucker you can imagine. I love him in this movie. The effects are top notch. The score is banging, and the ending is like top 5 horror endings of all time. I'm sure Antman would agree. The ending is like just so good. It's so fitting to the themes of this movie. And it took a long time for me to come around on this movie. I always thought it was fine. And it wasn't just because of the Michael Myers lore. Over time, just I've grown to appreciate the hell out of this movie, and it looks so great on the Scream Factory 4K. I highly recommend picking that up. It looks insanely great. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would have felt stupid not mentioning in this, because like it is the quintessential cult horror film, I think, in the American canon.
Agreed. I'm so happy that it's getting love, because there for the longest time it was getting shitted on and not getting the justice it deserved. So it's awesome to see it being embraced over the last couple of years.
Totally. Silver Shamrock.
It's a very infectious song. Like if that song popped on, like if a Silver Shamrock commercial were to pop on instead of any random ass commercial, like when you're watching, I don't know, YouTube that's not premium or something, like I would totally sit through that. That'd be fine.
Yeah,
Cool ass
absolutely. And then your eyes would explode out of your head. Just in the
Yeah.
movie.
Take me out of my misery, please.
I still haven't seen Halloween 3.
Oh, dude, do yourself a favor, please. Please.
It's so good, dude.
I think I'll watch it this month. I have to. It's fucking October.
It's the perfect. A lot of times I watch it on actual Halloween. It's one of the ones that fits the mold of October so perfect, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Just like the tone of it all, the colors, everything. And Charlotte, have you seen it?
I have. I think I may be in need of a critical reappraisal though, because it didn't really click with me that first time.
It's okay.
I
On
really
one hand-
wanted to love it because I'm not a huge Michael Myers fan. I know sacrilege, but
Yeah, I'm not either, to be honest.
But he's daddy though. What do you mean? Look at him.
I could see that though. Like if like outside of the first Halloween, because the first Halloween is a masterpiece. But after that, like I could definitely see how somebody could say the rest of the films are questionable. But
I mean, the recent trilogy is like,
oh,
I wouldn't be
I don't
be shocked if
there.
that turned. Yeah. They've kind of bastardized him pretty bad. So I agree.
Yeah.
Slashers
those-
just aren't really my shtick unless they're like
Yeah.
super duper funny. Like I'm more of a Nightmare on Elm Street Child's Play girl.
Hey,
Yeah, same here.
I agree. I agree. Those franchises are, I think, better overall than Halloween, because they definitely they just downgraded in quality so severely over time. But I think that the third one is also not a slasher, so I think you would like it a lot. You got to watch it. I don't even know what to categorize it as.
I'm very curious to what it actually is, because you said it doesn't really have Michael Myers in it, and it's not a slasher.
Nope.
So what the fuck is it?
Dude, I can't even. I don't know. You gotta.
Yeah, it's got a
It's
cool
so
atmosphere.
hard to pitch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a really cool atmosphere surrounding
Conspiracy
it.
film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love a good horror atmosphere.
It's got an atmosphere to it, and it's conspiracies. It's got scummy 80s characters. It's got a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, definitely recommend it, especially in October. Shout out Tommy Lee Wallace. He deserved a better. He did like the It TV show, I believe, also for the It with Tim Curry.
Oh
Definitely a
yeah.
talent, and he worked with Carpenter pretty closely. But anyway, Charlotte, you're number 2.
Okie dokie. My number 2 is a film that I love, and I found it because like my favorite author mentioned it on her blog like years ago, and I feel like that's like such a cult classic thing, like to find it like stumbling through the internet forums and things like that. It's Lamora, A Child's Tale of the Supernatural. It's a great like fantasy horror vampire movie because it's not an episode with Charlotte without mentioning vampires, right? um it's just got a great atmosphere, man, and like most people I don't think have like even heard of it. It has like a Synapse DVD release currently, and it's on YouTube, I want to say, in like really shit quality. I made Antman watch it, and I think he liked it.
I
So
loved it. Thank you for that. That was a great recommendation, and I will champion a physical release any day.
yes, it needs a really good Blu-ray release because I think it would look so good. It's got great creature effects, great acting, vibes, bro, just the vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
What's it called again?
Lamora, A Child's Tale of the Supernatural. I think it's
Shit.
also has like the name Lady Dracula. It has like 3 names. I don't think the director ever went on to make another film because like this film was like there was like some controversy about it or something like that when it first came
Hmm.
out. I want to say like it was probably like attacked by like the Christian right or some shit,
Sounds right.
but it's
So
great.
it is a cult film.
Mhm.
It was attacked by another cult.
Yeah.
It's got
Yeah.
like
Amazing.
this weird Lovecraftian quality to it also that I just think
I'm
it's a
sold.
vibe.
You mentioned Lovecraft, I'm in immediately.
Mhm.
Um, uh, yeah, man. Any more thoughts on that? I'm really curious about that.
Uh, Definitely like I'm so thankful. Again, it's Charlotte opens up my eyes to things that I've never heard of, and it's really cool because I'm at a point in my life like where I feel like I've seen all there is to see, even though that's a stupid statement to make because there's literally hundreds of thousands of films out there. But it's always awesome to like have somebody say, "Hey, check this out." You know, it's in a decade that I adore. It's a subject matter that I love. Um, and yeah, it's truly is one of those hidden gems, a diamond in the rough that took some digging to find. And I'm totally glad that Charlotte actually recommended that one to me because that's one that, yeah, the fact that it hasn't have had like a proper Blu-ray release by now blows my mind. But then again, with like companies like well, Synapse and Vinegar Syndrome and stuff like that, digging up some pretty obscure stuff, I really hope that that's on the docket at some point because that would be a
Yeah.
day one buy for me.
And like it's just really good. The YouTube channel In Praise of Shadows has a really good essay on it and how it's the vampire movie they don't want you to see, and it really goes into like lesbian vampire themes and feminism and shit like that. It's great. Great video. Highly recommend checking it out if you get the chance. I was not sponsored to say that.
I'm super intrigued. I got to check that out now. Carlos.
All right, so this next film I've already talked about quite a bit on a different podcast episode with Jake, and I have a whole review on this film as well. And I feel like I've talked just a lot about this film in general already, so I probably won't go on too long about. I probably won't go on too long talking about it. But my number 2 is Tetsuo the Iron Man
Oh,
by
nice.
Shinya Tsukamoto. Um, yeah, this is a film that I admire so fucking much. My phone case is actually a Tetsuo graphic, and it's like my favorite phone case I've ever bought. But Tetsuo is just a film that like I just find it so fucking inspiring. I mean, he made this on an extremely low budget, utilized stop motion animation to its fullest potential. It's filled with experimental editing, experimental structure. It's full of fucking some pretty hardcore violence here and there. Um, there's like one of the most unconventional experimental rape scenes that I've ever seen in a film. But it's all in a weird way, it feels cohesive. It feels like everything that you witness in this film is bridging towards a purpose. And I just think this film is filled with artistic merit. It's filled with so much craft, and it's batshit insanity at its finest. It gives you everything that you would want out of like just a batshit crazy horror film, but at the same time, I feel like is embedded with so much artistic merit that I just have so much love for it. Um, so yeah, please check the film out. I think it does classify under like a cult following type of film because I feel like on the grand scheme of things, it's still like not the most known film out there. But yeah,
Great
Yeah.
pick. I love that movie.
Yeah,
Thank
I would
you.
agree, man. Like if punk rock could be translated into a film, that movie would be perfectly summing up what it is to be punk. Like everything about it on how it was made and the kind of I don't give a shit, let me just make like do what I want type attitude. Watching
Yeah.
that film gives me anxiety as a filmmaker because like I'm thinking of like later on whenever like he's transformed and there's all those practical effects and shit. I'm like, dude, resetting that shit up over and over and over.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, oh my
Dude.
God, how long did that take?
Right.
Yeah, I would have never taken on a project of this magnitude ever. It's too much, dude. Like I feel overwhelmed just filming my last short film and that's pretty bare bones for the most part. And just trying to imagine putting myself in the shoes of Tsukamoto putting this film together is fucking nightmare fuel to me.
Yeah.
My friend Erica showed me that movie a few months ago, and like, I thought it was fucking great. It's
Yes.
just such a great example of how beautiful black and white film can be
Mm.
when used
Yeah.
correctly.
Yep. Highly, definitely agree on that. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Definitely the
same.
most experimental and like risk taking movies that we've talked about. Just like takes the most unconventional choices as like a director, in terms of the camera work
Yeah.
and sound effects and everything is like
Yeah, the fucking
rule
soundtrack is
breaking.
great too.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Got
punk
that
rock
like
is really the perfect way to describe this movie's just presence in the film canon. So
yeah,
I
good.
would go
that
so far to say that it's metal.
Twisted.
that fucking opening is so good with that like
Oh
industrial
yeah.
music and like
Yeah.
the main character wigging out and the camera going everywhere. It's fucking beautiful.
Forgive my ignorance, but is there a good release of this movie on physical media?
Yes.
Yes,
Arrow
Arrow has a
Video.
great
The
release.
Arrow box there's an Arrow box set that I heard is fucking fantastic.
It is. Dude, you can get it
Uh,
like right now for like $40 and highly recommend it because it comes with like 8 different
Oh
movies or some
shit.
shit like that. It's so fucking that box set is definitely worth it.
is it the
Damn, I gotta
director's like? Is it the director's stuff in there, or like
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
the?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I think you get
Gotta look into
Tetsuo,
that.
Tetsuo 2, A Snake of June,
Oh, I got
Kodako,
you.
and all kinds of shit.
I got you.
Your camera went off. What happened?
he's getting something.
Yeah, I paused it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
He's
Oh.
breaking rule number 3.
Yeah, dude. Come on. I read the rules clearly.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry, I'm dead.
No, it's okay.
There it is, dude. Oh,
Oh
yeah,
my god,
Oh,
that's
very
amazing.
nice.
it's
Wow.
and then this is everything you get in there.
Look at that. Oh my god.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me read that. Hold on. Oh shit, bro.
That's a lot of movies in one.
Tokyo
That's
Fist, Bullet Ballet, and Tetsuo are worth the price of admission for this alone.
Damn.
God.
Yeah.
That guy knew how to
I gotta
title
get
his
that.
films. Tokyo Fist.
Yes,
Yeah.
What a
I
king.
heard that film was fucking great.
King in our midst.
it is.
Bullet
Bullet
Ballet, I heard
Ballet.
is fucking great
That
too.
sounds
Yeah.
that sounds like a John Woo picture in a way.
Yeah. Shout out
Bullet
to
Ballet.
Payne Raven of the Misfit Pond Discord. I bought this box set long before that, but he really made me want to watch Tokyo Fist and Bullet Ballet after his raving reviews, and they're fucking great.
Yeah.
Damn. Almost gonna buy that now. You want to go next? Number 4. Right? You were up, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I promise this was not planned, but again, I'm
Oh
piggybacking
shit.
off of Charlotte. You mentioned vampires and then specifically lesbian vampires. And so I'm going to have to talk about 1986's Vamp by Richard Wenk, who is famous for the Equalizer films, weirdly enough.
What?
Yeah, but back then he made this beautiful vampire masterpiece starring Grace Jones. If you don't know who she is, amazing. She's a singer, she's a model, she's a goddess. And then Robert Russler from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which is one of my favorite of the Elm Street franchise, and it's very much
Yes.
often overlooked as a shitty film, but it's the gay Nightmare on Elm Street, and I love it very much, near and dear. It's one of the first ones I saw. But
Me
Vamp,
too.
yeah, it's these guys that go into a strip club thinking it's going to be just a fun night of hanky panky, and it turns out they walk into the wrong strip club because it's overrun by vampires. Um, Awesome fucking soundtrack. I absolutely adore the soundtrack. It's just a really fun time, and I don't ever hear anybody talking about Vamp, which is sad because it's got some good releases. This is an older Arrow release back like when it was only Arrow UK, so it comes with, like these weird ass like little things. Um, but yeah, Vamp is definitely one of those that how we were talking about like Henenlotter films and stuff like that, where it's you put it on because you just want to have like a batshit fun time and just like let your mind go and just drink some beer or something like that and like just eat some popcorn and have fun. Vamp is definitely right there for that. And I've wrecked it I think once or twice, and nobody's picked it, but I'm not going to stop until everybody watches it. So Vamp.
It's my biggest blind spot, I think. Like
I
I've been dying to see it for
Same
years and
here.
just haven't.
It's so good. Both of y'all, I would think y'all would really, really, really enjoy it.
You
Just
sold it very well.
Grace Jones alone, dude. She's just in this movie. She's a
Mhm.
goddess, dude. And like some of like the visuals of her in there, just they should be iconic. If they're not iconic, like
I was about to say the image of her in that costume is just so fucking like a
mhm.
cultural phenomena that or should be a cultural phenomena.
I
I was
definitely agree.
very pissed off on RuPaul's Drag Race when they did Great Night of a Thousand Grace Joneses and no one did a vamp look.
That makes me. I didn't know that
Sacrilege.
until right now, and that makes me even more sad. Damn. Yeah, definitely is sacrilege, honestly. Um, she I don't know if she's done a lot of like acting roles. I know she's an actress, but I don't know how like I'm not familiar with like her acting side. I am very familiar with her modeling side and her singing side. Um, but yeah, in
She's
this
just
one, she's go so good.
she's just got that like David Bowie
Yep.
energy quality to her that is just like
Yeah.
undefinable.
Damn, could not have summed that up better. Yes, very much David Bowie-esque. So,
Nice.
yeah.
That's a
Carlos, you ever heard
beautiful.
of Vamp?
No, I haven't even heard of this movie.
Ah, add it
Again,
to the
No.
Carlos
list.
hates the gays.
Yep, that's another one that's
You
on
beat me
there.
to it. I was about to say it. uh, it's been on my watch list for a long time. I have a whole like queer horror movie watch list that I'm trying to get through. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I
this
meant.
is
Like, I'm mostly here to learn because, like, I, I've, I think in total I've heard about 3 movies that I just have never heard of in my entire life. So,
yeah. I
but they
mean,
all sound interesting.
your movies that you picked are pretty. They fit the mold. That's like just as well as all of ours. So you're
Yeah,
part of it,
definitely.
man.
That's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, sit back and learn more. I guess it's been a great. I mean, like, yeah, I've always bought that Arrow so many. Is it an Arrow, right?
Yeah, it's Arrow.
The edition. I almost blind bought it so many times because I know it's gonna be a banger of a.
It would not be a bad idea for you to blind buy it.
Maybe it's at Barnes and Nobles during this sale. I'll fuck the Criterions. I'll get Vamps.
There you go. Yeah, I highly recommend it. Can't say enough good words about it.
Sick. Cool. I will finish us off, or I'll kick us off to finish us off with my second favorite horror film of all time. And I think, again, similar to Halloween 3, is one of the quintessential cult horror movies just on reputation and everything we've been talking about. But it is Stuart Gordon's magnum opus Reanimator, which is just a milestone in horror cinema, in my opinion. You mentioned Lovecraft earlier, and Lovecraft is a big inspiration on me as a creative, as an aspiring filmmaker and writer and all that stuff. He is one of a kind, and this is maybe the greatest adaptation of his work I've ever seen. And Stuart Gordon is just he doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion, up there with Henenlotter and Cronenberg and other body horror filmmakers. I think he's just as good as them based on Reanimator and From Beyond alone. I think those are incredible milestones in horror. But Reanimator is just the medical horror is one of my favorite subgenres of horror, mainly because the whole concept of dissecting the human body and having a familiarity with like anatomy and all that stuff really grosses me out, as I feel like most people that aren't, medical professionals, and this movie really gets to the heart of that fear, and just takes it to just so many insane and hilarious lengths. I mean, Jeffrey Combs in this movie is like one of my favorite horror performances ever. And not to mention the Queen, Barbara Crampton, in this movie is fantastic. She's one of the biggest icons of horror, in my opinion. And this movie, I would rightfully describe it as a horror comedy, even though it does tackle some pretty fucked, and especially timely things, being metaphors for like STDs in the 80s when that was rampant, and this kind of sexual repression that was so, it was like playing both sides within the narrative of this movie, which is, I think, is Stuart Gordon's doing. I think he's such a genius to incorporate that stuff. And ultimately a film about like fragile masculinity and like this kind of demented concept taking over this guy who's like the scientist, or medical student. Sorry. And yeah, just the best. I love it dearly. Have any of y'all heard or seen of this movie?
That was almost on my list. It was right there teetering on making the list for me or not. Stuart Gordon is definitely RIP.
Yes.
Absolute. Again, another one. Individual I got to meet. Super nice guy. Man, like even like Castle Freak and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
he's got a lot.
Dolls.
Yep, his filmography is like pretty much like quintessential to 80s and early 90s horror, that in a way that a lot of other people weren't able to like kind of carry the torch throughout those decades. Like, I think Stuart Gordon he's usually never his name is never brought up in conversation, but his films are always brought up in conversation. That's what's really sad.
Dude, I can't remember if I've actually seen Reanimator or not.
Cat's dead. Details later, dude. That's all you need to know.
I can't fucking remember. I know about Stuart Gordon, but for some reason I feel like I saw it, but I don't remember it.
You would definitely remember Reanimator.
I'm having Alzheimer's right now, dude.
I was about to say. Alzheimer's attack. Yeah.
What's some other films that he's made?
Well, From Beyond
is like his second most famous. He also directed a film with Dennis Hopper called Space Truckers.
Yep. I love Space Truckers. Yep. Pride of Reanimator is another good one.
That was actually Brian Usna, who did Society, directed the sequels, which is...
Oh, fuck, he did?
Yeah. He did Bride and...
That makes sense.
The third one. Yeah. Because he produced Reanimator too. I know he was like... And wrote it, I think. I don't... But he's instrumental in Reanimator. So I just love those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. But I feel like I know I saw Reanimator, but I can't remember it. That's like early sign of Alzheimer's. I'm scared.
Oh man,
It's okay, dude. You gotta
fuck, dude,
rewatch
I
it.
triggered something within you.
Yeah, because I
Uh,
think I watched it for a movie night or something, and for some reason I can't remember. I remember brief flashes of imagery that I can't even put my finger on, but I know that I've seen it. I
I'm
think I
looking
liked
in
it.
Letterbox. I'm looking to see if you've logged it.
Did you Snorlax through it and fall
Maybe
asleep?
that's maybe what it is. I probably did
Like
Snorlax through it. I fucking
that's a possibility, but that's heresy in a way too.
Yeah.
One of my
Nah,
favorite
yeah,
things
you
to
should
do
check it
in
out.
chat is to wake up before everyone else has woken up and see that Perry and Carlos are still in chat because they've fallen asleep,
Yes.
and join voice chat and just say some fucked up shit to hopefully seep into their dreams.
Yep.
it's part of why I've been having nightmares lately.
It's all me.
She's
I
Freddy
love
Krueger in you,
Yeah, I love like being in the middle of a voice chat and you hear Perry's sweet sound of snoring. It's like so relaxing.
like Totoro snoring.
It's
His gentle rumble, yeah.
very
But
comforting.
regardless, you should check it out if you don't remember it.
I'm gonna watch it again.
It's quintessential shit. Yeah,
Yep, agreed.
yeah. So that's my number one. Charlotte, what is yours?
Okay, so my number one pick is a movie that I fell in love with when I was like 14 or 15. It led me to like seek out other cult classics because I enjoyed it so much. It's Repo the Genetic Opera, gory horror musical in the tradition of Repo, or not Repo, in the tradition of Rocky Horror. It's a fun ass time. It has this cult following of fans who just really fucking adore it. I've been to like 2 or 3 events, I want to say, where I've gotten to meet its creator, Terrence Zdanek. And he's just like super cool dude, super duper sweet. The songs in it are super duper fun. I personally love Paris Hilton in it. She's great. Paul Sorvino's great. Everyone's great. Alexa Vega from Spy Kids fame is in
Spy
it.
Kids, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, it's just a really fun time. Super gory, weird, fun songs. Aesthetically, my vibe, super gothy. Just fun time. About a fucking brief synopsis. It's dystopian future where where surgery becomes an aesthetic thing and organ failure is rampant. So check it out. And if you don't pay your debts, you get your organs repossessed.
Mhm.
Ooh, shit.
Wow. This is another one that's been on my watch list for way too long.
I think you would like
And
it. I
Yeah.
don't know if anyone else would, but I think you would like it, Jake.
I think I
Carlos
would
would hate
too.
it.
I
No
hate
offense,
it.
Carlos.
Is it like
Alright,
the vein of what do you call it? The John Cameron Mitchell movie, Hedwig. It's kind of like the horror Hedwig.
I guess in a
That
way, but not really.
that's
You can't
Yeah.
compare it to
no, just meaning like
anything.
it divides, the
Yeah.
discord up.
Oh, definitely. This movie would
Yeah,
definitely divide the Discord up.
And it's
yeah.
like a legitimate opera. Like
Yeah.
there's not a single sequence of spoken dialogue. Everything is sung. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so into
I don't,
that.
I don't really like movies like that.
I know.
There's a lot
I remember,
visually going on that you might like.
Mhm.
Isn't
I
it the
remember I
director of
saw.
like the Saw sequels?
I
Like
think it's
Darren.
produced by Darren Lynn Balsman.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. For some reason, I thought he directed that movie.
I can't remember if he directed it, but I know that he
But-
produced it. He may have co-directed it with Terrence Zdanek.
Oh, okay. That just is not in his wheelhouse, really. That's surprising.
Okay,
The Saw
directed
2
by
director.
Darren Lynn Balsman, yeah.
Wow. Interesting. It's got
Yeah.
some striking imagery for sure. I'm looking at the stills.
It sucks because like when this movie came out, that other movie Repo Man came out. I think it was Repo Man. Um, and I think both of those movies just kind of fucked each other over because
Mhm.
The wrong
Two.
one was getting all the attention, and Repo the Genetic Opera. Thankfully, it found its foot, its feet. But when it first came out, people were kind of shitting on it, saying, "Oh, it's a rip off of Repo Man." And I'm like, no, not at all.
Wait, what
And
do you mean?
to your defense, also Paris Hilton was great in there, and I think this might be a really hot take, but I think Paris Hilton was great in the House of Wax remake.
I was about to
I
say she could have been a great scream queen.
Yep.
Yeah.
and I think I discovered this movie because it was in a trailer for it was shown during the fucking My Bloody Valentine remake, and that was the only good thing I got out of that movie.
That's that's a horrible, horrendous remake.
Yeah.
Awful. You said Repo Man, like the Alex Cox movie? It came out,
Uh,
or is there another
no,
Repo Man that I'm not?
there's another one. It has Forrest Whitaker and somebody else.
Oh yeah,
Same
like
same
yeah, like
synopsis essentially, just minus the opera singing. It's people fucking, they get organs on loan, and if they can't pay it, they come and repossess them from their bodies. And it sucks that they both came out at the same time. And then you add on top of Repo the Genetic Opera being a rock opera, and people were definitely not wanting to give that one a chance. And I saw that in the theater. I think here it was a one and done showing, and so I made sure my ass was there, and it's really fucking good. I blew me away.
All you need to know is that Zydrate comes in a little glass vial.
Yep. Little glass vial.
awesome.
Bye.
Carlos is like, this is one of the ones that I'm not adding to my list.
He put it on a shit list.
Yeah.
Paris Hilton,
Yeah.
check.
Yep.
Musical, check.
Done.
I'm just here to learn.
Let's learn you into some rock opera, dude.
Joan Jett's in this movie. Hold on. What the fuck?
Is she? I didn't realize.
I don't remember.
Joan Jett has a credit in this movie as guitar player, I guess, uncredited.
That's
She's
fucking
probably
rad.
in the background, but that's the raddest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
As Bill Moseley's also in this too. There's a lot. This movie's got a lot going for it, as I said before. I can't wait to watch it.
The songs are definitely infectious. Even still to this day, I'll find myself throwing on the soundtrack every once in a while and just jamming out.
Grave robber.
Yes, that's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, I want to watch this real fast. It looks like a must-see masterpiece, in my opinion. But
I concur.
yeah, not for all of. Are you guys fans of Phantom of the Paradise?
Yes.
Brian De
Love Phantom
Palma's.
of the
Yeah,
Real
Paradise.
it's
fucking
good.
quick. Yes.
Yeah, it's like this. These kind of deconstructions of operas and music like that mixed with horror is something I love. So
Mhm.
I'm very much into that.
Me, it's like a perfect mix. It's two of my favorite genres, horror, musical. Ugh.
Definitely. Carlos,
Yes.
go
Me
ahead.
next. All right. All right. My number one cult horror film on my list is a film from Peter Jackson that is known as Brain Dead or Dead Alive, depending on how you call it. Yeah, this is a film that I actually have a video for. I reviewed it, I think, 3 years ago now at this point. And it's just incredible. This is a film, I feel like Brain Dead made me appreciate kind of just dumb fun B-grade horror before. Because before I didn't really give that much shit about it. I just kind of wrote it off as a whatever genre. But after watching Brain Dead, I started to appreciate that genre of filmmaking a whole lot more. It's just to me the ultimate masterpiece and just a masterclass demonstration of what makes that genre so great. I mean, it delivers on pretty much every single front that you could think of. It's fucking hilarious from start to finish. It's ridiculous. It's fucking the most campiest film I've ever seen. It's the most bloodiest film I've ever seen. I think it actually still holds the record for the most amount of blood ever in a film. Could be wrong, but
Yeah.
it's very high up there.
It's definitely
Um,
up there.
um, it's full of one-liners, and again, just like it's in one way, it's really crazy that Peter Jackson, who is now known as the guy that made all of the Lord of the Rings films. Before he made those films, he was making fucking like B-grade horror films. And it's kind of weird to think about that. Like, in one way, it doesn't make sense, but in another way, it actually does, because the amount this film, just the sheer magnitude of putting this film together is insane. And I think, like, distributors and producers saw that Peter Jackson was able to handle a project of this magnitude and felt comfortable kind of giving him a big project like Lord of the Rings. Because trust me, with a film like Brain Dead, I mean, first of all, like, so much of this film is already like fucking crazy with the amount of practical effects and just like the chaos that ensues in this film. But like the final like 35 minutes, like the entire third act of this film that takes place like in the house, is like it's fucking mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing. Just all the practical effects, all of the extras that were involved. Um, these really gigantic pieces of practical effects. It's just really, really insane stuff. I mean, it's nonstop engagement, nonstop insanity, and there's just no way that you can watch this film and just not have an absolute fucking blast with it. It's just super impressive on like every single phase of filmmaking that I can think of. It's just like this film set out exactly what it needed to do, plus a shitload more. And I've seen it like 3 times now, and it just gets better every single fucking time. I just really, really love it. Um, so yeah, this is like one that you've been sleeping on, or you somehow have like never heard of. I highly suggest watching it, because goddamn, this film is it is super impressive and super entertaining and super hilarious. So yeah, number one, Brain Dead.
It was originally my number one until I heard you were gonna put it on like your list.
Oh
Way to go,
shit,
wow.
Carlos.
fuck me.
Oh no, I'm super happy you did, because it gave me the chance to talk about the human centipede.
Oh
Yeah.
nice.
Hell yeah.
One door closes, the other opens, as they say. I'm glad you mentioned Peter Jackson's career arc, though, because it is fascinating that, I mean, Bad Taste is another really good little indie horror movie that he did really early on, and like to see him assemble these productions is like insane.
Yeah.
And the amount of moving parts. I mean, like Raimi too, like he got Spider-Man because he filmed the first Evil Dead on like the smallest of budgets, like off of bribing dentists to pay for the movie, and that's the result you get. Is like, it's some of my favorite things in filmmaking in general, is just to see someone pull something off like against all the odds in the world against them, and rightfully become massive, filmmakers in the long run.
Yeah.
I think Jackson and Raimi have that similar trait.
Will and I
Definitely.
were
Oh, go ahead, Charlotte.
Will and I were talking about like this exact thing the other day, and how ballsy it was for studios to like give these directors chances with these huge properties like Spider-Man and The Lord of the Rings, and how like unfortunately I don't feel like we see studios taking risk like that anymore, when
No way.
in reality I think we should.
Yeah, and if they do,
100%.
they don't allow the artist any of their like creative freedom, so it's
Yep.
pointless.
Give Tom Six a fucking Marvel movie. Let him direct the Blade Mia Goth movie.
Oh yes.
Oh my, Mahershala Ali and Mia Goth, ass to mouth. Would love to see that fan fiction.
Oh, son.
Oh,
Yeah. What's wild is like Peter Jackson's first 3 movies, like Bad Taste, like he made those practical effects in his mom's oven,
mhm.
himself, and like I don't know if you've ever seen Bad Taste, any of all besides I know for a fact you have, Jake, but
Yeah.
any of the other, I don't know if you have seen Bad Taste, but like man, that's some pretty fucking impressive like
Yeah.
skills to be able to make that level of like prosthetics in a small ass oven some randomly in New Zealand. But then you follow your first feature up with a prosthetic heavy film to now one that's with puppets, Meet the Feebles,
Mhm.
which is another like fuck, you just don't do that for your second film. That's usually reserved for much later. And then you go to Dead Alive or Brain Dead, and it's just gore-tastic and just thinking about another like logistical nightmare in terms of setups and stuff like that. Like
Yep.
he was
Yeah,
either
God.
A, he's really good at logistics, or B, he's just a glutton for punishment because like all three of those films could be an absolute nightmare to direct, and yet those are the first three that he decided to direct, which is insane.
Needs to get on those remasters
Yep, I was just
ASAP.
about to say
Oh my
that too.
God.
Peter Jackson, if you're watching, we need the 4Ks of those now.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for that for like close to a decade now. Like a box set of those three would be just
I could
oh
go
Oh
my
my God.
entire
Hell yeah.
life without another Peter Jackson movie if he would do that.
yeah,
Not that
gladly.
he's
That'd be
really
a day one pre-order right there.
known for his later
Yes.
work.
I would love to see like Peter Jackson just do another like horror movie. Like
Oh
Same.
man.
that would be amazing. But he hasn't even like cared to go back to his roots at all,
Fuck no,
unfortunately.
dude. He's going back to 1010. He's making a sequel to
I
1010.
know.
Oh,
He's he's
Fuck.
more of like computer generated minded nowadays, like a
Yeah.
Robert Zemeckis type that's not really in touch with like, the art of filmmaking anymore. It's more like the big picture, enterprise minded, which is kind of sad, but
I
I mean
will say
deserves to do what he wants at this point in a way, but
they shall
yeah.
not grow old was a fucking fantastic documentary that he did, and like the amount of like restoration that he did on that World War I
Yeah.
footage and like putting voices to people that obviously didn't have a voice because it was recorded in World War I and colorized some of the footage and shit.
Mhm.
Impressive. But yeah, please go back to your horror roots, Peter Jackson. That's what we want you to do. You've
that
already
being
done the Lord of the Rings. Let's go back.
Mhm.
Exactly.
That being said, I am a Lovely Bones truther.
I still need to see
I,
that.
I need to
Love
see it
that movie.
too.
I'm not a fan of Lonely Bones.
It's an insane premise. Whenever I read it, I'm like, holy fuck, what is he
Yeah.
doing? But it
I think
looks, yeah,
I remember
fascinating.
like I remember I liked the first half of that movie, but in the second half it just kind of I don't know, it just kind of gets a little like fucking convoluted and not very compelling. But it's been like at least 8 years since I've seen it. I blind bought it on Blu-ray. I still own it somewhere.
I saw it in
Wow.
theaters when it came out with my mom. Good times.
Damn.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember back then thinking like how aesthetically like beautiful it was, and it has not aged well in that department at all because CGI
Oh.
sucks. But
oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Heavenly
definitely on my list.
Heavenly Creatures is a very underrated Peter
Yep.
Jackson film too.
Agreed.
sure.
Really, he's got some gems out there.
That movie
Um,
scarred me when I was in
yeah.
like fifth grade or fourth grade, and I remember like flipping through and I saw the fucking thingy and I saw that it was rated R and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna watch this behind my parents' back, and like I get like the first scene that I see is like the rock
oh,
scene.
Jesus
The
Christ.
scene.
Yeah.
These,
I was like,
yeah,
nope.
literally, yeah.
Made me sick to my stomach.
God, the acting in that movie is insane. Like Kay Winslet and Melanie Linsky, like
Mhm.
so incredible in that
Melanie
movie.
Linsky is so underrated.
She's so great. Yeah, she doesn't get enough praise. Um, Tangent over, I guess. Antman, keep you could
Um,
you're the last one, I guess.
yeah, so I do have two honorable mentions if we can talk about honorable mentions afterwards because this last spot was
I have
really
a few too.
it's really fucking hard for me and for various reasons. But I had to go with the one I remember seeing this VHS like back in the early days of like I'm pretty sure it was like Suncoast or something like that. And I remember seeing this and I'm like so fixated on the cover art that I needed to own this VHS. This is long before DVDs. And the fact that I still have it, not only do I still have it, but it's still wrapped and it still has the price tags. I can't believe I spent 30 fucking dollars on this thing back when I was a kid. But it's 1986's Slaughter High. Got the D or VHS and the Blu-ray, both from
Oh,
Vestron.
awesome.
From George Dougal, which Dugdale, he didn't really do anything else after that. I remember how earlier I said I was going to bring this back to Casino Royale. Well, his wife, Carolyn Monroe, starred in this movie, who was also in Maniac and the original Casino Royale, which is dope. Um,
Oh, right.
yeah,
Yeah. The crazy one from the 60s.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
she's another one I met. She's a sweetheart, and she told me I have a poster of Slaughter High that I had her sign, and she told me to send it to like her address so her husband can sign it, and I never did, and now he's dead, so that sucks. Um,
Damn.
but Slaughter High is I'm not going to say this movie is reinventing the wheel because it's not. It really isn't. But like it's absolutely fun. It's this kid in high school, I think his Marty. They keep making fun of him and teasing him and picking on him, and he's kind of a pervert. Let's be honest. Like all of us weirdos kind of were perverts back in the day. But in typical 80s high school fashion, they play a prank on him, and it goes a little bit too far, and he gets doused in like all sorts of crazy ass chemicals, a la Toxic Avenger, but in a high school setting. Years later, those same individuals decide to come back to a reunion, a high school reunion. They get to the high school, it's fucking closed, and instead of leaving, they decided to break in, and they all start dying one by one mysteriously, and they are being hunted down by Marty once again. I love this film so much. I love the soundtrack. The soundtrack is so fucking good. It is literally like your typical 80s soundtrack on steroids, which is great. The theme song for it is just it's infectious. You hear it once, you will always remember it. At least for the first like 30 seconds, you'll always remember it. But yeah, like this film, I never hear anybody talk about Slaughter High ever. And this is one of the earliest memories I have of buying a VHS of any VHS, let alone horror, and it all was based off of just the cover art, um, which a skeleton graduating high school, that's pretty dope. And that started off my love of going to Blockbuster and just picking up stuff based off of cover art. So I'm like, well, I have a good track record with this. Let me continue on with that. And sometimes it was a hit and sometimes it was a miss, but I do miss those days of just going based off of the cover art. It sucks that most posters now suck anyway. Um, Back in the 80s and the early 90s and stuff, posters had a lot more pizzazz to them. But yeah, Slaughter High. If you've never seen it, definitely add it to your list, please. It's a romping good time.
Nice. I unfortunately have not watched it yet, but
Hell yeah.
I've heard nothing but just incredible things from horror fans. So yeah, I'll get to that. The premise alone is just sounds so fucking fun.
It is. It's a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. I've never heard of it, but but it sounds dope for sure.
Dude, if there was ever a movie out of this list that would like make a really fun movie night, that would probably be it.
Okay.
So that might be my next movie night pick.
Oh, fuck
That
yeah.
and the human centipede, yeah.
Yeah, too.
The second one.
Yeah, let's just get even more fucked up. It's 100% medically inaccurate.
Oh boy. I guess that's it, huh? Do you want to do honorable mention? I mean, I will do in like less than a minute probably. I just have two.
Yeah.
I'll just say Day of the Dead by Romero is my favorite Romero movie. I think it's underrated as hell. It's really like strong central female character that I think is just groundbreaking stuff. And Tom Savini's effects. I think we talked about this. I'm having deja vu. I think we talked about this on our episode.
Oh, yeah.
But it fucking rips. It's so good. And I will say Sleepaway Camp is my other one I want to just quickly mention, which is like one of the most bad shit insane movies to ever exist, in my opinion. And just a movie I could throw on any October or just any weekend at like super late at night, and it's just so much fun. I've been wanting
to see that one for a while. Just haven't seen it yet, but I've heard great things about it.
It's definitely it was on my honorable mentions list. It's
yeah,
good. Yeah,
really good.
It was right there. Yeah, I remember watching that film like way too young, and I was like, oh man, like I'm not gonna. I don't want to continue with
No,
that
yeah, we
because the ending is definitely like it could be spoiled, especially if you don't know shit about it. But
we
I was
we
like,
will
oh
not. Yeah,
yeah, this exists. Awesome. Yeah, and
it's
I think
genuinely I've never had the rug pulled out for me like quite like the end of that movie. I'll say that. Just
yeah,
like my interpretation of everything just completely changed.
yep. I don't know. I love it, Felissa Rose.
Yeah, God, amazing performance. Do you guys got any?
Doom Generation, the only reason I didn't put it in is because I didn't really feel like it fit the horror part of cult horror, but I feel like Red Rocky is a great example of a director whose film sort of fell into obscurity and now finally is sort of getting his flowers.
Definitely agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That reminds me, actually, John Waters is another one that like not classically horror, but one of the most important like cult directors in general of all time, and one of my personal like heroes in film for sure.
Yep.
So
Both
like
sort of
all
horror
his movies, yeah, for sure. Serial
Yeah,
Mom. I mean,
Yeah.
one that I was thinking about that I don't know if y'all would agree counts is it's a more of a modern film. But when I think of cult horror that's like in the making, I think of Mandy. Um,
Oh,
like Mandy is I feel like already a cult classic and it's only been out for like whatever, like 3 years, 4 years.
hard to
Um,
categorize that movie in a genre in a way, but I definitely I could see that for sure. That would give like a cult classic in general,
yeah.
for sure.
I'm probably the minority. I equally love and hate that film.
I do. I also do as well.
Like I'm not fully in love with it. I love the second half of the film a lot. The first half is much to be desired to me. There's things that I enjoy
I
about
agree.
it, but man, sometimes it gets to where it looks like I'd much rather watch paint dry at that point. But
Oh fuck.
but then whenever it gets into it, it's great.
Mhm.
But
it's
definitely, yeah.
funny
Like,
because
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No,
No, you
I'm
go
just
first.
saying, like, definitely, like it that is a cult classic in the making. Like, I remember watching that when it came out, and like the fucking buzz around that movie just exploded, and everybody wanted Cheddar Goblin merch and all sorts of other stuff. And like that
Yeah.
movie definitely took off in a way that I had no idea that it would do.
Very
Absolutely.
Yeah.
excited for his new film. I think it's called Necrocosm or some shit like that.
That sounds cool.
Whoa.
I'll give it a shot.
Whoa.
Yeah, like it's funny that you say that Ant-Man because my when I first watched the movie, my reaction was the exact opposite. Like I loved the first half of this movie like a lot. I was like
Same.
I was like the fucking pace, the atmosphere, the vibe. I was just so fucking absorbed into everything that the film was doing. And then the second half happened, and I was like, okay, now this is just kind of you're just kind of whatever dumb fun revenge gore-tastic be great movie. So it was a different reaction for me, but upon rewatch I've come to love both halves. Like I don't want to say equally because I still love the first half a little more, but I have come to have like a lot more fun with the second half, and I just appreciate the film so much as a whole now.
I 100% agree with you, Carlos.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Charlotte.
I'm
Sorry,
no
Andy.
stranger to being in the minority on that one, and that's totally fine.
It's funny though, because honestly, like I hear most people say what you're saying, Ant-Man. Like I remember walking away from that film, almost like I heard nothing but complaints about the first half. Like everybody was talking about how slow it was and how boring it was. And then like once the revenge element kicked in, that's when everybody started loving it.
It's not even it being slow or boring because I think it was gorgeous and it was not boring at all. It just it never really clicked for me. And yeah, it got to some parts where I'm just like it's like watching paint dry. But I do respect them. I own the movie. I have the steelbook of it. I do respect it. I know it has artistic merit. I own it. And the fact that like it kickstarted the Nicolas Cage resurgence, I'm all for that.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Fucking without that, I don't know if we would have gotten the amazing films like Pig, which got
Yeah.
shafted at the fucking Oscars, and I will always
Yeah.
say that. Um,
Yeah, dude.
damn it, man. But yeah, I will appreciate that film for those aspects and exactly what like at least visually the first half is just is gorgeous. It really is gorgeous. I would love to see a 4K of that. just to get some HDR and like further delve into it a little bit more. But yeah,
I saw Cosmatos's short. It's not even a short film. It's like an hour long film on the Cabinet of Curiosity.
I love
Um,
that. It was so
it's
good.
called The Viewing.
yeah,
Um, Honestly, I thought it was all right.
same.
Dude, I like
Um,
it so much more than Mandy. That's where I'm in the minority.
oh, dude, no,
I thought it
bro,
was so
no,
fucking good.
you're
I didn't
fucking
realize
smoking
he
crack on
had
that one.
something in that. I'll have
What
to
was
check
that?
it out. I
That
didn't
was like my
realize.
favorite episode of that show.
Nah,
Wow.
I mean, I've only seen two. I've seen the first episode, and I didn't like it very much. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna skip it to the fucking Panos Cosmatos episode." And I was disappointed by it. I mean, it's not bad, but it was just kind of underwhelming.
Mhm.
Charlotte, you
But
might actually like that one because visually it's beautiful. Like the room that they're in,
Mhm.
yeah,
during majority of it, it's I mean it's very Cosmos. It's awesome, but uh, I think that was probably my favorite of the season, that season or series if it's just the one and done. But
Yeah, I
that's
think
not saying
so.
much because I didn't really like any of the other ones. But I feel like that one, in terms of visually, had the most bang for its buck. It looked really pretty.
Yeah. That's kind of my thing with it. Yeah. And it doesn't like necessarily work as like a story. And I don't think any of them do. Like, none of them really hooked me, but at least that I feel like on a filmmaking level was like some of the best thing like I've ever seen in a show. Like,
Yeah.
I
they took
mean,
so many risks and just super fun. Um,
it was a lot better than the first one. Because the first episode, I was like, this is just fucking like on the nose and
yeah. Oh, yeah.
not
Yeah.
not very engaging. And then it just built up to something that was like, okay, who gives a shit? Um, so I was like, and then Panos Cosmatos one, I was like, this is a lot better than the first one, but still like for what I know what he can do, especially with Mandy, I was like, it's kind of underwhelming.
Wow.
But
I'm
but
shocked. I
I
thought you
wanted
guys would love that movie.
no, I mean it's funny because my mom has been like telling me like so much to watch all of them. She's like in love with like every episode. She thinks, oh my God, it's so
Yeah.
good, you gotta watch it. And then she watched the Panos Cosmatos one. She's like, yeah, that one was really good. She's like, it's really good too, but it was really weird. You don't really know what's gonna happen, and it's weird. and and I
Such
was
a
like, all right,
mom
well that
thing.
was like I told her from the get go, I'm like, that's the one I actually want to watch the most because it's from a director that I've seen one of his films before and I love it. And she's like, well, you should watch it. And I finally watched it, and I was so far it's not off to the best start with both the ones that I've seen, but I'll still try to give a few more shots, see what I think.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be renewed, sadly, because I know it was like it definitely had a lot of mixed reactions when it came out. But I just like the idea of just it's a lot of really interesting, like Jennifer Kent, I know made one, and
Yeah.
all these really great, talented directors. But yeah, left a little to be desired, I guess, in the long
Mhm.
run.
Have any of y'all seen Beyond the Black Rainbow?
Dude, I've
I've
been dying to
tried
see that.
to.
I've never
I
What
do.
after
happened, Charlotte?
I've wrecked it like so many times, and it never wins.
I
It
fall
doesn't even come
asleep
close.
every time I start watching it.
Really?
I'll tell
Damn.
you.
See, what's wild is like I find Beyond the Black Rainbow so much better than Mandy, and I know damn well I'm in the minority there.
I've heard people really praise Beyond the Black Rainbow, though. Like,
It's good. It's another like to have that be your first film and you're coming out swinging with that level of like visual creativity. You're gonna have a cool career. I don't know if it's gonna be a big career, but you're definitely gonna have a cool career. And then Mandy followed up with that, and then then he's gotten attached with Guillermo del Toro, which is cool. With the Cabinet of Curiosities, that's cool. He's got an interesting career. I'll see where it
yeah,
goes.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
Why
definitely
do
dying to see the
acid
new
when you
film.
can watch one of his films?
Exactly. Although watching one of his films
No,
on acid is even better.
Oh,
oh my,
double trouble.
oh my God, I can imagine Mandy and like your high peaks right when the revenge aspect starts.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
What it's made
Um,
for.
I'm brave, but not that brave.
No, no, no fucking way. All right, are we doing a list or is what do you guys want to
Um,
do?
I will. I just want to throw these two out real quick.
Oh yeah, sorry, we never finished the honorables. Yeah.
No, you're good. This one was very hard for me not to include it because it's a newfound love for me, and I'm breaking into the '90s now, out of the '70s and '80s into the '90s. This director is noted for films such as Necromantic and Traum and stuff like that, but I'm going with 1990s Der Todesking. Can't really show much of it on here. Oh, aka the Death King. Uh, from an artistic standpoint, this movie is awesome. The soundtrack is incredible. And it's funny, a lot of the people that actually hate Necromantic 1, 2, and Trom absolutely adore Der Todes King, however you want to pronounce it. Um, if you've never seen it, it's literally just little vignettes of people dying in various ways from murder to suicide over the course of 7 days, and it's
Oh, I
in
have
the
heard
middle
of
of that, like there's a little clips of a body decomposing, and it's really cool. I fucking honestly like the rest of the films. You could say what you will about them, but like that film, like I really wish you would have kind of continued going in that direction because really interesting. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I watched it 3 times in 1 week, and I just couldn't stop. Stayed on my
Wow.
mind for the longest time. Perry,
Wow.
Batzus, Kalen, all of them jumped on that train. We all watched it together, and that's one that just keeps coming back into my brain. There was that one, and then one that I know for a fact that nobody here in this Discord or probably nobody else in the goddamn world has heard of, but that is 1995's Luca Berkovici's The Granny. And the only way you could find this is on VHS. There's no DVD release of it. But this granny, she dies, and her family wants to collect her insurance. Well, before she dies, she takes like a poison, and she becomes like living internal, and she battles her relatives. So they can't take her fortune away from her. It's a trip. It's super fun.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I really, really wish somebody would give this like a fit like a better release than just this VHS because it deserves it.
Vincent kids should do it.
Please, Vincent, we need
Wow.
you now more than ever.
This is the same director that did Ghoulies.
Yep, and Rockula.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
It just shot up to the top of my watch list.
yeah, it's definitely out there. But it's a lot of fun. I fucking found this in a like a Goodwill dump bin like many years ago, and I was like, oh, I mean, the cover alone like screams to me. So let's just try this out. And I put it on, and I've seen it like well over 15 times since, and I really, really
Damn.
like it. Yeah, I love it a lot. I'm probably hyping it up more than what it deserves. It probably is like a terrible movie in all regards, but I really think it's fun.
For
Well,
the
that's what,
record, if
like-
you see weird arm motions, I'm not touching myself, I'm petting my cat.
Either way, it's fine. Yeah. It's rule 2 of the rules, remember. And also Antman's dog made an appearance too. So
Oh yeah, dude, she
multiple
keeps coming
times,
in.
yeah.
Your cat too. Saw your cat walking around.
Yep, they just love to be out here. This is where I also work too. So when I'm trying to work, they're bothering the hell out of me all
They
day.
come to you.
Yeah, it's okay. I like to pet them. Keeps my anxiety down.
Mhm.
Absolutely. We love the furry babies a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess do you guys want to do the list, or do you think we
What time
wrapped
is
it up pretty good?
It's
It's-
10:04. So 11:04 your time.
11:04 for me. I
I
should
think we
probably. I should
we can
probably
just
dip
wrap it
out.
up. I don't know if we
Yeah.
necessarily need to make a list. I think we
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I think we covered and celebrated cult horror in a really rightful fashion. So
It was a whole lot of
Definitely.
fun. I enjoyed that a lot.
Likewise.
yeah, it was a great episode. Before we end, I do want to just shout out a few things, especially Carlos's film, which I had the pleasure of watching the other day. I know we've talked about it so much on the podcast. I just wanted to come full circle and say it's really damn good, and I just want to congratulate him on a really incredible filming experience. And congratulations on all the festivals too, man.
Man, thank you so much. Why are you so kind to me?
I don't know, man. I question it every day. No, yeah. But I don't know. Do you have like information about the festivals or you want to share? Because I know fans like came to see the film, which is crazy. So I don't know if
Yeah,
there's anything coming
so
up.
yeah, so it made its first appearance at the locals only film festival on on Thursday, October 12th. And that was from the Atlanta Film Society, and they're known to be like the biggest film organization in the state. So I was like really honored that they took my shit. I mean, even though it's locals only and they probably don't get like as many
Right.
submissions as their normal film festival, I still think they had like over 50 entries and they only took 8. So it was pretty cool they took my shit.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And that was a great experience. It was like a bunch of people there. It was at my favorite art theater in Atlanta, and it was a packed crowd in that theater. And I got to meet a bunch of filmmakers and other people that work in film, and just got to meet a bunch of cool people. Um, I met somebody there as well that knew about my channel. He didn't come to see my film, but he just came because he's part of the local film community. And when he saw that, like, I went up there for the Q&A, he's like, "Holy shit, that's Carlos from the Misfit Pond." Um, I got to meet him afterwards, and it was really cool. But yeah, that was a great experience. And then on the next day was at the Atlanta Horror Film Festival, and that one was a so-so experience. Because I had a 3:30 p.m. slot, and there was only like maybe 6 or 7 people in that theater total. So I didn't get like the most eyes on it or whatever, which is a little underwhelming. But I was the only local filmmaker that showed up for that block. So I was the only one up there alone just doing a Q&A. And I took some questions from the audience. I got some pretty cool questions from the audience about my film. And then, after it was done, Adam came up to me and I met him for the first time. And he actually specifically came out to the film festival to watch my film because he said he had recently started following my channel and stuff. And he saw that I posted about it, and he lives in Georgia, so he just came down for it. And it was an honor. It was an absolute honor and a pleasure meeting him. He's just a really great dude. And so that was just really fucking cool. And yeah, I mean, it's been a great experience so far. Who knows? I mean, I just finished the film and I got it out as soon as I can to make it into those festivals, and they got in. So I'm really looking forward to the future that this film holds for me. I mean, it's my most experimental film by far, so I am a bit worried about that. I mean, production wise, it's by far like the best. Like quality, it looks amazing in my opinion.
Definitely.
But like in terms of vision and style, it's my most experimental and least accessible film. So I'm wondering if that's going to hinder my chances in getting into some film festivals going forward. We'll just have to wait and see. But no, beyond that, I'm going to be running my own film festival on my channel next Sunday. And at the very end of that stream, which is probably late at night, I'm guessing like 11:30 or 12. Then I'm going to showcase my newest film there at the very end. And then after that, I'm going to just upload the film on my channel for like maybe a week or two, just so people can watch it and give me feedback and stuff. And then that's it for right now. That's the plan when it comes to my film's like public release. But yeah, after those 2 weeks, I'm gonna take it down. So just so I have more chances to get into some film festivals, because some film festivals are like cunty about like your film being out there, out in the public sphere, and sometimes they just won't take it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah,
Sure.
you fucking gave me the floor to talk about my film and everything, and I appreciate that. I went on for a while, so thank you.
No, yeah, dude. I was anytime. And I
You're such
messaged
a
you.
cutie, Carlos.
Wait, what's that?
You're such a cutie.
Oh, thank you. You're a cutie, Charlotte.
I know.
We all know that.
It was adorable. I was gonna say real quick, I messaged you this earlier, but like I'm making my own short like next week. So to see like you doing so well with it and watching your thing, it just like gave me much more of a confidence boost. So I appreciate that.
Oh, dude, I fucking love that for you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm glad that I was able to do that for you. I had no idea, dude. good luck with your film. Is this your first time making a short film, or?
No, I mean, I went to film school, and
Yeah.
made a lot of shitty stuff back in the day. Took a break, focused more on like writing and all that stuff. Long story short, I just trying to get back into it. It's been like pre-quarantine since I made something for myself.
Mhm.
And this is like a long time passion. It doesn't have the budget of yours, but it's got, I got a pretty decent crew, a lot of actors that I really admire. So I'm hyped.
Oh,
And
it's awesome.
just seeing like my friends make stuff, it always just inspires me to just take the leap and do it. So yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
why I
Dude,
want to bring it up.
congrats, man. That's gonna be
Oh
fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's gonna be a great experience, man.
Yeah, I'm excited and nervous. The feeling of just like you're gonna just sleeping the night before a shoot is tough, but I'm very hyped at the same time. So yeah, enough about that, about me. But I just want to thank our other guests, Charlotte and Antman. Like honestly, you guys are some of my favorite guests I've ever had on the show, from this episode and the kids episode. Like you guys just offer so much, more than this podcast deserves. So thank you guys, just sincerely. Anything you want to part words with, but before we end this?
Just thank you for having me on again. Anytime I get a chance to talk about film, specifically, especially horror, makes me really happy. Shameless plug here. I don't care.
Oh
I
yes, of
am
course.
I am wearing my band's new shirt, God Butcher. If you have never heard of us, check us out. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. God Butcher album is Neurosis. There you go. That's it. But for
Yeah.
real though, like, thank you for having me on, man. Like, it's I don't really get to talk about this, especially these kinds of films, very much, because nobody in my circle. I live in bumfuck Texas. Like, nobody here gives a shit about any of that kind of stuff unless you're from Austin, and I'm not from Austin. So it's usually just me talking to myself, or just discovering shit on my own. So it's really cool to, like, talk about it with other people, and then of course get some other films, like dude, Charlotte is the queen of recommending some based ass horror films that, like, I never heard of.
Absolutely.
So
And kids movies too.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And I just want to
Surprise.
say,
Make me cry.
I've heard, I think, two songs from Ant-Man's band, God Butcher, and they fucking slap. They are really good. And I'm not just saying that like because oh he's my friend and I gotta say it. Like I'm like a music snob. People know me, like, especially when it comes to metal, I can be kind of an asshole, but like legitimately his music is right up my alley and it's like really good. Like not only is it produced well, like the sound quality, but like there's a lot of creativity poured into it and I really enjoy it. So please check it out. I think it's awesome.
And
Thanks,
the
dude.
t-shirts are fucking sick. You should
I was
buy
gonna
them.
say the
Oh, yeah.
designs are
Showcase it, Ant-Man.
Yeah,
designs are awesome. Yeah.
this one is for Cyanide Hangover, so it's the people dead at Jonestown surrounded by the Kool-Aid or the Flavor Aid barrel. And then on the
Kool-Aid.
back, yeah, it's Flavor Aid. Has to be Flavor Aid. And on the back, it's a news article from our newspaper here that says 300 people found dead in a God Butcher pit, which I think is funny.
That's insane.
We'll
But
see
it's
how, yeah,
so
we'll see how that
fitting, yeah.
goes.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no, I
Check out
appreciate
check out
kind
the
words.
music. I'll put it in the link of the video for sure, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm cool with it, dude. I appreciate the kind words and the
I will
feedback.
too.
Of course. And Charlotte, anything you want to end on?
I just want to say thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for giving us the space to talk about films that we love, and just to hang out with some of my favorite people is always a real treat. In the words of Amore, I love you guys so much.
God,
Oh,
the impressions are on point today.
yeah, Maury's so pure. I love him.
Oh yeah, I gotta get him on the pod. That's definitely,
Oh, fuck. That'd be awesome.
absolutely. God, this is like the most wholesome ending to any podcast I've ever done. Usually we're like,
you
let's
all.
we usually end with like, let's get the fuck out because it's like 2 a.m. But yeah, genuinely, again, thank you guys so much. This was a joy, and I always appreciate it. Subscribe to our channel, all that stuff, blah blah blah. Happy Halloween. We love you all. Thank you so much. Bye bye.